Hello and welcome back to FMK Anime. I am your host, Meep, joined by my co-host, Gilly, and the face, Delaron.
Hello, I am apparently a face and nothing more, Dalaran. Welcome
This
to
has been
the
established for a bit.
yeah, welcome to the show. If you guys are catching it live, hi, welcome. If you guys aren't catching it live and catching us on YouTube, we stream every Monday or Tuesday. Check in with us, and you can catch us live on Twitch at Dalaran Quest. That's twitch.tv/Dalaran Quest. DALARON Quest.
Listen, Delaron, you're the face because no one else can get us those OnlyFans subscriptions.
Shh! They're not supposed to know about that. I'll use a different name there.
Ah, yes, Big Dick Rick 420.
So, Gilly, tell us about your OnlyFans.
Well, on my OnlyFans, we build Lego sets.
Aw, that's nice and wholesome.
We reenact porn scenes with them.
Ah, ah.
What are you doing, stepdad?
Step Lego. Hey, do not step on Lego. It hurts.
I stepped on a Lego that had been sharpened on the corners by accident because it's just old.
When you think, like, Lego kinks is like a whole nother level of pain.
Anyway,
We're
here to talk to all of you about the anime this week. This week we have 7. Every week we watch an amount of anime and we can kill one show a week. We decide if we're going to stick our eggplant in that show or if we're going to stick our knife in that show. Let's see, are we going to stick our eggplants in Adachi to Shimamura?
Also, thank you to Team 4-Star for allowing us to stick our eggplants or knife into anything.
Yes. Thank you again, Team 4-Star. I'm sorry I forget half the time to say thank you. But with this week, we watched Adachi to Shimamura, episode 6. Hino helps Adachi pick out a Christmas present for Shimamura, while Nakafuji and Shimamura pick out a gift for Adachi. Adachi and Shimamura go on their date, where Adachi tries to tell Shimamura that she likes her, but instead can only bolster the courage to ask her to be her best friend. I liked this episode. It was really cute. It was really soft.
I enjoyed it too, but I want to throw this towards Gilly right away because I'm curious to know if he did not enjoy it if he disliked it as much, if he has suffered through it as much as he did other episodes. Because in my opinion, it was a lot less about Adachi and Shimamura, or at the very least, a lot less about Adachi's unhealthy tendencies, even though there was one moment that I will bring up later.
I still feel the sadness, just only slightly less.
Ever slightly or just slightly?
Just slightly. Just like with the last episode, I found contentment until they were together again, then I was sad once more.
Okay, I'm curious. What is it about them together? Because it doesn't sound like you hate them as characters. It just sounds like you hate them when they're together. Like, I'm actually curious.
That's when they're both at their worst.
Fair.
All their worst aspects tend to be exemplified when they're within proximity of each other, and it is upsetting.
Mm.
We got very little Shimamura this episode. So
Yeah, which is why
That was a. I feel like that was very purposeful, seeing as I think it was last episode. I think it might have been the one before where we got a lot of Shimamura and very little Adachi.
I think it was the one right before, because that was the one where Dalaran thought Shimura and his mom knew Adachi's mom.
yeah,
I'm not letting that go.
I was wrong. I went back and looked at the episode again. I was totally wrong. Yeah.
I know. I'm just gonna give shit.
Don't worry, we're gonna get to something in this week that I am not gonna let go. Let's turn off our phones, everyone. You know, movie theater vibrate.
My phone's never off. Nobody talks to me.
God damn it, Gilly. Can we get some hashtags poor Gilly again in chat, please? I don't know if you realize how sad you made that sound, but it sounded really sad. You're sad.
Also, I feel like I know what part you're gonna talk about as well.
Yeah,
Because it was there every time I watch this show, there's always a point that completely, even if I start to feel a tinge of any kind of joy, there's always a point that completely kills me and I'm just done again.
is it Adachi's possessivism?
The extreme possessivism of, oh,
Possessiveness, sorry.
I'm not the only one that gets to spend time alone with Shimamura.
Yeah. Enough pulling Gilly's teeth with this show. Thank you for indulging us, but yeah, that was what I was referring to. You're right earlier when I said I'll get back to it. There's a lot that I'm willing to forgive the characters in this show because I understand their flaws are very much intentional and accurate to life. Adachi's possessiveness is starting to grate even on me because I'm seeing a lot. There was a lot of character development from Adachi, I think, in this episode. I think she is starting to get a better understanding and acceptance of her feelings toward her. She hasn't gotten there yet, but I think it's becoming a thing, and as such, she's becoming better at controlling her anxiety when it comes to Shimamura, and I feel like we saw that in the end, where she didn't succeed, but she's starting to communicate better. However, her possessiveness and like extreme possessiveness, where like Shimamura's not allowed to have other friends, Shimamura's not allowed to, like, she doesn't want Shimamura to spend time with other people. Again, I get it. It comes from a place of great insecurity, and like I understand where it's coming from, but the fact that it's so prevalent upsets me.
There's a different aspect of Adachi's character growth that actually was one of the few things I've enjoyed out of this entire show so far. And it's the fact that this entire time she's never wanted to talk to anybody else, but she actively went to I think her name's like Hino.
Adachi, yeah, which I was really surprised by because I figured she would just. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, she actively went to someone else, one of Shimamura's other friends, talked to her, spent time with her, and asked for her help to get a gift. That is probably one of the only things of the entire show I have appreciated because that's healthy character growth.
Yes, I completely agree. I was really surprised that that not Hino. First of all, I love Hino. She's adorable.
She is. She's great.
She's just a good girl, not the smartest girl, but just peppy, and she has a little bit of that what's it called in anime? The Chifubuyo or something like that. Like over like melodramatic anime ass IRL kind of personality, and I'm seeing like a little bit of that kind of like spastic, like silly behavior with her, and I love it. Hino's endearing to me on so many levels. Also, they got ramen.
Yeah, they did.
Not fruit ramen.
You're never gonna let that go.
I'm never gonna fucking let that go. I'm gonna have a bone to pick with Meep on a different show, but I'm never letting go fruit ramen with you, fucking Gilly.
Look, I'd try it. I would eat it. I will eat. I will try anything. As well, it used to be I'd try anything once. I've altered that as I've gotten older due to certain things. I give everything 2 to 3 tries because it might be different the second or third time.
That's actually fair because, like, as someone who like does ciceroneship and degustation of beer, it's important to have at least 3 sips of a beverage, whether it be wine, beer, or something to really get the full flavor profile, to have your palate be able to really analyze it. But
Yeah, as you can tell, I still sound very dead talking about this show, but this is probably the first time where I'm not wanting to throw myself off a bridge.
come on, man, you do bridge every week. You gotta mix it up a bit. A valley, a canyon, a mountain.
Bridges are easier. There's lots of them around here.
Oof.
Yeah, there's
Well,
plenty of rivers too.
ooh, no, that was last week's Moriarty episode.
But no, it's just
And this week's
there
Magetsu
was.
Warhide. Well, actually, no, it was last week's too. I'm behind. But anyway, yeah, you were saying?
This is probably this is literally the first episode that I was. It was quite tolerable for about 88, 90% of it.
And yet the other 20, the other 12, 10% is made you so dead inside.
Yeah, because the relationship between the two main characters just does not bring me anything other than pain.
I'm back.
Hi, back. I'm Dad.
Seeing seeing individual character development between each of them when they're not around each other is a lot more satisfying than them being anywhere near each other.
Sorry about that. I just had to go run groceries in.
That's fine. Personal stuff. But yeah, no, Damn it, Meep, you broke my train of thought.
That Adachi and Shimura are both soft and cute.
They are soft and cute. That Adachi.
And
I'm
they're
sorry.
away from each other.
I was genuinely surprised that Adachi sought out Hino and spent time with Hino after the task was done. I never expected her to say yes. I never expected her to ask for help, and I never expected her to hang out with her post getting her help, which is nice because they're not
Yeah,
making
that
Adachi a complete like anxious like person to the point where she's dysfunctional. It's just she doesn't engage well, but she seems to be doing better.
the biggest surprise
And,
of it is asking for her help was nice, and going with her to shop was nice. The fact that they sat down, just spent some time, talked, and had something to eat after was probably the most surprising and enjoyable part of that entire episode.
also, I think Hino caught on that Adachi likes Shimamura.
I think so too. Because I think she's having her own feelings with Nagafuji, where they both kind of reacted like they had no reason to hide. Like Nagafuji and Shimamura don't care that they're hanging out, but they both like, oh, did you hear from Shimamura? No. Did you hear from is Nagafuji not coming? Oh, she says she has something to do after school, and then they saw them in the mall, and they both kind of were like. Also, like Hino, like I love Hino to death, but she's like, you want to follow them around and see what they're doing? And Adachi was like, you know what? No, because I thought Hino was about to like enable Adachi's really unhealthy aspects, but I was proud of her. She said no.
Yeah. And even though she had those feelings of, but I thought I was the only one that got to walk beside you, she doesn't act on them. She knows, like, wait, I shouldn't be having these feelings. No. She acknowledges that she shouldn't be feeling that way, which and that's hey, sometimes humans know they're feeling bad things, but they can't help it because people are human.
It's true. Emotions do get the better of us many times.
But don't worry, we'll get our fill on stalking after we get through all our main shows.
Oof. Um,
Uh, I don't know if you're talking about King's Raid or
or
the other one.
Ochikabure.
You'll have to find out.
But yeah, Adachi, like I said, there's like a lot of subtle, or maybe it's not even that subtle, growth with Adachi this episode, because personally, what I appreciated the most was in this episode was at the very end where she's like, this show has does a really good job with motifs and kind of not really hinting. I can't find the word, but it opens up with this kind of like mini monologue from one of the characters, and it always finds a way to bring it right back to it, except with a different meaning and a different tone, and like it always displays growth, whether it be for better or for worse. In Gilly's case, I'm hearing little background sounds, people clicking and stuff.
No, that's me typing.
And Adachi was just like, because in the beginning it's just like I shouldn't expect anything. Christmas, it's just people are silly. Like it's just it, it could be, it's nothing special. It doesn't mean anything. And then at the end of the episode, it was the same thing, except she's like, you know what, Christmas isn't anything special or magical or lucky, and I shouldn't expect anything, but I'm still gonna really enjoy these memories I made with Shimamura. And that's the kind of reactions I want, where it's just like, I don't need to make this into this ideal fantasy. I can just enjoy the moment in the moment. And that's really fucking healthy and good and important to have in life.
Yeah, and I like how Adachi's turning out to be the more optimistic one, whereas Shimura is obviously pessimistic.
Oh, yeah. Because I think Adachi like internalizes her pain, accepts her pain, while Shimamura tries to sidestep it all the time.
Mm-hmm. Like she's trying to not get into anything major because, like we saw last episode, she was completely ready to drop Adachi if she found out Adachi thought about her that way. Which I'm curious to see how the show gets around.
Adachi's calmed down this episode and is like, all right, I'm going to discover Shimamura's feelings and get to know her and become closer with her, step by step.
Yeah. Also, she wore the dress.
She wore the dress, and Shimamura's right. It looks good on her. But I think Shimamura realized, well, what was that? What that was about. Also, Adachi is starting to understand that Shimamura might not actually return her feelings. That she might not feel the same way. That Shimamura, Adachi is realizing that Shimamura might not feel the same way about her the way Adachi feels about Shimamura. That was a fucking mouthful.
I agree with you, though. The way I more read into it is that, like, because she always knew that it was a possibility. In fact, she tried to deny it for herself. And then she got into the space like, oh, well, no, it is possible. I do like her that way. But now I think she's more realizing, okay, this is a reality, and this could be a reality I'm facing. It's not just, oh, she probably won't. But that's part of life. Is I totally see before they get together, because this is a romance anime, they're going to get together. I totally see there being a rejection before it happens.
Hey guys, let's turn off our phones again. Come on. Second time. Don't make Dalaran angry.
Shimamura's little sister and Shuko.
I love it. They're just kids being kids, and I think they totally reference the fucking anime recorder meme. I was just waiting for fucking Shuko to start playing Sandstorm on the fucking recorder.
The budding little friendship between these two little girls is sweet and innocent and nice. That was a very pleasant way to bring me into this week's pain.
We've gotten a lot less of her.
We have, which has made me sad because I need it. I need it to help survive.
I know you're suffering through this show with us, Gilly. I do, and I acknowledge and appreciate you fighting the good fight. Your engagement is acknowledged and appreciated. Being the good
You guys put me through
fight.
Kuma Bear, so I feel no remorse.
Your engagement is acknowledged.
Look, the pain I feel from watching this is why I continue to watch Fruit Tart and King's Raid.
But, uh,
I
but
don't
I
know why
thought,
you put yourself through this.
but I thought we're Kumas together, Gilly. Why would you hurt me so?
We are Kumas together, but sometimes I just have to hurt Meep.
Uh, and I guess me by proxy. Do we want to hold up cards, guys?
Yeah, I'm fucking this show. Still no proof that Shimamura's mom is married, so I'll continue. I'll continue to be there, just stepping back a bit, seeing that they're trying to handle their issues their own way.
I mean, apart from the one creep in the pool and the, like background, like NPCs, just people in the background of the city, have there been any male characters?
Nope. This was when I looked into it. This is a all-female cast manga. Well, light novel, but
All right. Gilly, what horrendous thing will you do to these good girls this week?
Look, I've already done what I needed to do with the show, but I will continue to kill it. Though I just want to say to Meep, why fuck Adachi's mom when you could fuck the lady that runs the restaurant she works at?
Yo, right? Girl was sassy and hot. Lady was
Has that
sassy and
nice
hot.
kind of short hair too. Is really nice, but not enough for me to fuck this show. So
The hot,
she's such a nice boss.
yeah. And she was doing like Tai Chi or something. It was really fun. But yeah, unfortunately not enough to bring Gilly around. As for me, um if you remember from last week's episode, when I talked about this show, I'm like, all right, so we're gonna get Christmas on the next episode, and we did. And I also said that now I'm starting to get really nervous and apprehensive about this show because I feel like we're ramping up for bad times. But that this episode went way better than I feared. Like it was a really cute and wholesome Christmas. I really liked Hino and Adachi. Hino's little like pseudo nickname for her. I heard a bang. Uh,
Adachi.
Adachi. It was really fucking cute. Uh, and once again, she's not Adachi is not being able to voice her feelings.
Yeah, if that's one thing I do have to mention is I understand this is like a whole thing in Japan culture and just Japan in general is that people are it's a lot harder for them to voice feelings, especially like feelings of homosexuality. So
Yeah, it's true. Um, it's yeah, we see that be expressed in a number of anime actually. I think Ikebukuro Westgate Park kind of touched upon that too. That or I'm just expecting anything to deal with the discussion of Japanese culture to be present in Westgate Park, but we'll get to that later. Um,
yeah.
Someone is dying. Gilly, are you dead?
No,
All right. Um,
I mean I'm dead inside.
don't worry, we're gonna bring it
I've been
around
down in
soon.
the last few days.
Just hang tight, we'll get you there. Um, but yeah, like I said before, Adachi is not able to really voice her thoughts and feelings yet, but I'm starting to see growth. I actually appreciate that she is aware that she is anxious, and she is talking herself down from getting carried away, especially at that ending scene. she seems to be exhibiting more self-control, which is something that like was like a real prominent thing in the last few episodes where I was like, ooh, girl, problematic. I get it. Accurate to life, but still. And even Shimomura was really sweet and nice in this episode. Like, she's really accommodating to Adachi and is like, her understands that she's an anxious and nervous being and was like nice and being supportive of her. Also, the air hockey was cute. So I'm fucking the show. I think it's pretty good. I'm I'm really appreciating what the show is doing thus far, and Gilly's suffering is almost a testament to that.
Mm. Well, with that, we
Make sure the show
shall
is
now.
playing in the background when I end it.
Also, the
No.
opening is cute.
But yes, now we move on to Yukoku no Moriarty, episode 6. Let me find the synopsis I wrote. I put it in the Akudama Drive spot. That's why I couldn't find it.
Whoops.
Moriarty and crew set their plan into motion of showing London the injustice of nobles. They convince a criminal to cause trouble for a noble, and they as well cause the noble grief, until he kills the criminal, or Moriarty catches him red-handed, but only after meeting with a man on the ship who has a big dick contest with Moriarty.
If anything, I think Moriarty had a big dick measuring contest with who we obviously now, if you paid attention to the opening, know as Sherlock. Which, thanks, Meep. Thanks for last week's spoiler. It was, I straight up felt less of an impact.
To be fair, Sherlock didn't show up in that previous ending. I just literally, not previous ending, but in the what do you call it? Recap. Not recap. Fuck. What's the word?
Preview? Is that what you're looking for?
Preview. Yes. It's just the story. It's just the story that it said is another famous Sherlock story where it's the fateful meeting between Sherlock and Moriarty.
Oh.
Which I wasn't speaking on the ending. I was speaking on the name of the episode.
In the
Now-
Navy.
Referring to the meeting between these two brains, I think my absolute favorite thing was we have our character, which honestly, fair assumption is Sherlock, is who's going into going into very intricate details about how he knows that he's a mathematician, and then you have Moriarty's rebuttal, throwing up all things, doesn't give an explanation, just says because it's obvious.
Well, that's because Sherlock was throwing out, like, oh, because it's obvious. Which I'm really surprised they didn't go with the it's elementary approach.
I think they were trying not to like force it too hard there. But I think my favorite things is the things he talked about him being able to do, and the way and when Moriarty was analyzing him. I love that they decided, like, let's just take all the major Sherlock Holmes tropes and make sure he can recognize them. The fact that he can play the violin, the chemical dependency.
Yeah, Moriarty walks
a big
up
thing
and
that comes up a lot.
just walks up and sniffs Sherlock as he's like deducting him and is deconstructing him, and just like, with a slight perchance for chemical dependency. And I'm like, ooh, you cheeky bitch. That
He
being
know you a
said,
druggy boy.
that being said, I walked away from that scene, or I paused after that scene with two kinds of feelings. One, of fuck, that was really cool, and this is what I want. I love that cognitive, like, deduction deconstruction aspect of it, and I want so much more. And it makes me so excited for Sherlock's role in this series. But two, I think not Sherlock. I feel like Moriarty really overplayed his hand. Like, he definitely put himself on Sherlock's grid now. Like he is now directly responsible for getting himself into trouble with Sherlock.
Yeah, that is, like I said, it was a big dick contest. Moriarty going, no, I must prove I have bigger brain.
I think he fucked up.
He did fuck up, but it was completely in character.
Moriarty's has been slowly getting a little more full of himself, and I think that, as well as somebody actually analyzing him, kind of creeped under his skin just a little bit. Enough that he just sort of went at him.
He snapped a little, yeah.
I must prove I have bigger ape brain.
So how do we feel about Dick Cheney being our villain of the week?
I legitimately thought about that when the fucking hunting accident happened.
Hunting
The opening
for
scene?
sport.
I saw the shotgun and it was obviously in a hunting ground, so I'm like, oh cool, Dick Cheney's today's villain.
That guy is such a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
That's I think that's oh go on, Meep, go on.
Threatens to murder a child.
I think he's the weakest thing of this episode because he's so cartoonishly evil.
I loved it.
Like, even as a noble, you need to have a level of, like, social engagement, but this dude is literally just the worst.
Yes.
He is the president of the asshole convention.
Do
You
you
can't s-
know about Noah's Ark?
Oh, fucking Christ, that line.
Let's see, he threatened children, he hunts people, he's a serial killer, he is extremely classist and fucking entitled. And he also quotes biblical verses. Like, have we checked off all the marks?
He's William if William grew up and didn't die.
I mean, honestly, I think so, yeah, but
Oh my god, he is.
he's just he has the exact same kind of personality, but I mean, just looking at him and the way he is, when he quotes the biblical verses, he's also just not even insinuating, pretty much flat out saying, I am God's chosen, for I am a noble.
So the insinuation I got is that the reason Moriarty picked him in specific is because he is like William. That's the insinuation I picked up.
I think you just picked him because he checks all the boxes of being just villain, of like
Yeah.
Mr. Villain McVillain face.
He just exemplifies like a lot of their targets what they don't like about nobles.
Again, to like an unrealistic degree, though.
I love how we have Fred and Mr. Moran posing as as like kind of like butlers or something on the ship. I don't. There's a term for them. I don't know what it is.
They're stewards.
Yeah.
Also,
So,
Moran. Yeah, sorry, really quick on the topic of Moran. Fred is cool. I get Fred's role now. He's the inconspicuous one. I think that's what they're doing with him. But in that scene where Moran was like engaging and recalibrating their accomplice, the fucking commoner they got, who's actually like a really shitty fucking person and a crook, like rapist, murderer, and robber. When he was like recalibrating him, Moran knows how to throw intimidation. Like when the dude started asking too many questions, ooh, that facial tone shift. Ooh, so good, so good.
yeah. By the way, did they actually burn down the Count's cottage, or was that a lie?
I think that's a lie.
Okay.
It's too suspicious, and it will tie them back to it. It's unnecessary evidence. Unless he really sent Lewis to go do that while they were on the ship, because I actually made a mistake. I didn't realize that was William because he styled his hair the way Lewis does. So when he was walking around, I thought that was Lewis, and Moriarty was somewhere in the scenes in the background.
Yeah.
If he was wearing glasses, you wouldn't be able to fully tell.
Yeah,
Lewis's eyes. Sorry, go ahead, Meep.
was Lewis on the boat? Was he the one that called Albert Onisan?
Yes,
Or was
that is
Okay.
exactly the moment I was talking about because I wrote it down in my notes and I'm like, oh, he calls him Big Brother, and then it was Moriarty. I think that was William. William James Moriarty. I don't think that was Lewis.
Because it sounded like Lewis's voice actor. I just think Lewis wasn't wearing his glasses on the boat.
No, Lewis's eyes are less red than Williams.
Mm, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
got
they
a little bit. We got a little bit of Albert this episode, though.
we got some very nice shots of Albert this episode. They gave our boy some love in terms of the angles and just expressions and everything.
I just wish
I
he and Lewis could do more.
Yeah, me
I
too.
need to ask a question. If you guys caught this very brief conversation between our main villain and William on the ship, when William introduces himself as William James Moriarty, our noble mentions like I've heard that name before. It has to do with the I can't remember if he said
Military,
army or military,
military.
and he said, "Oh no, that's my brother Albert." And what?
Yeah.
What does that mean? What does that insinuate?
It could insinuate that Moriartys are a lineage of like generals or military, high-ranking military officers, and that Albert potentially served in a war, or at least in the military, and has military contacts.
Yeah, I want to know more about that because that's such a small thing, but that's important.
It would make sense how they know Moran.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
but
it
that
has me
also,
really curious because that was such a little thing, but it feels very important.
that's the thing. Like we have really high expectations for this show, so whenever even like little tidbits like that get thrown out, it could mean anything, or it could mean everything, or it could mean nothing. And I guess I'm just Gilly, correct me if I'm wrong, but I guess we both have like the expectation, like we're wondering if like 2 or 3 episodes from now, them being like military contractors all of a sudden comes into play.
It may never come up again. It's just I kind of hope it does.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly, exactly. You never know.
Hmm.
It's just very interesting.
But speaking of
He-
like the mentions of people and whatnot, we notice that we talk about the nobility, but the show has yet to mention the queen or the monarchy at all.
I feel like that's going to be the last sort of case that Moriarty tries to go on because this isn't Queen Elizabeth. This is Queen Victoria, right?
Uh, I
Like
will.
that's always the Queen in Sherlock properties, I
Okay.
believe.
If that's the case, then that's the case. I will admit to ignorance when it comes to the lineage of the British monarchy and queens, depending on time period.
The reason I think that because they bring it up as Victorian era, so
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I have to assume Queen Victoria, but because Queen Victoria was she was one of the most classist queens, correct? I don't
Again,
know my I don't know my British history that well, but I believe that's true.
alas, neither do I.
Wasn't she the one that wanted to eat dodo birds, or was that Queen Elizabeth?
Again, I shrug.
I can't fucking remember. I didn't study British history. I studied Canadian history. We traded furs. That's it. Well, no. There's more history with World War II, but then that gets political. Um,
I personally think they're not going to mention the queen because they're avoiding that hot topic.
well, I don't know. I can see this because this might just be a little bit of my Sherlock side showing, but one of the common tropes in Sherlock is Sherlock solving a case of someone trying to murder the queen.
Oh, so true. I don't know. This is fun. I like this. I don't know what to expect, and you make a good point.
The only thing you know to expect is it's very likely, and it's not even guaranteed, but it's likely to involve nobles. And that's kind of it.
Yeah.
You can't even guarantee that's going to be the aspect.
Now that
Usually they're
Sherlock,
involved in one way or another, but I mean, honestly, the last one was, I feel like, a lot less involving corruption of nobles.
now that Sherlock has been introduced, we're in for a ride. That's for sure. Sherlock is going to throw some sort of wrench into this plan. There,
I feel
there's
like
no, there's no, there's no getting by that. They wouldn't introduce him here for no reason.
I feel like he wasn't introduced. He was just like he was shown. They didn't even he didn't introduce
Yeah,
himself. He never gave his name.
they didn't even. Yeah, they didn't give name. They didn't even give names. They left us there with the insinuation.
Yeah, I'm saying introduced to us as the audience because
So
we
I feel
see
like it was
him.
less of an. I feel like what we'd call what happened there was less of an introduce and more of a tease.
I guess. I still, that was my favorite part of the episode, was just their big dick off. Or like not even a big dick off on fucking Sherlock's side. It was just Moriarty going, yes. I must challenge back.
Because specifically it was like, yes, I'm a mathematician, but also, and then he did all that, and Sherlock's just like basically did the equivalent of, oh,
Also, Sherlock's fucking hot.
yep.
Look,
Why is he so fucking hot?
Oh no, he's hot.
This anime has had to make all our main characters hot.
None of them are as hot as Sherlock. That fucking hair. Anyways, are we ready for cards, ladies and gents?
Sure, yeah.
I'd say so. I'm
Alright.
gonna fuck this show. I love this show. I'm glad I picked this show. It continues to make me happy. It it's at the end of the list of things I watch because the shining light of my day needs to be this and a couple other shows.
Not Kuma Bear? Not Kuma Bear?
I said a couple other shows.
I was imagining you watch Kuma Bear somewhere near the middle, Gilly.
I do, but I said this before. I only changed it because I need something to revitalize me after Adachi to Shimamura.
It's your chaser to Adachi no Shimamura?
Yes.
What do you think, mate?
Well, no, it's after Macho no Tabi Tabi because Tabi Tabi varies from week to week how much it hurts me.
Yep.
So it's after those two. Yes, I'm
Well,
fucking this show.
speaking of Majin no Tabi Tabi, Majin no Tabi Tabi, episode
Wait.
7.
Are you not gonna vote? Am I not gonna vote?
Oh, fuck.
Nobody else has said anything. Yeah.
Wow.
My mind went completely blank because it's so obvious the votes. I'm fucking the show.
Overruled. Stop the counting. Oh my god.
Stop the voting.
Yeah, I'm going to also fuck this show. This was a stellar episode, despite, being cartoonishly evil, like just ridiculously just I'm evil. Mwah. The villain this time around is as condemnable as they come. Like, I genuinely looking forward to see him get his comeuppance, but the curious thing is how they're gonna do it, because their goal wasn't to just kill him, it was to have him be caught in the act, and Moriarty has the absolute upper hand in this situation, and I'm very curious to see what he does with it.
Yeah, because
Yeah, go on.
he knows that killing a commoner you might get away with, but killing another noble.
He wasn't another noble. He was absolutely a commoner. Oh, you mean that he won't kill him?
No, I mean, yes, I mean the Lord won't kill Moriarty for catching him because oh ho ho.
Oh, the Lord is just shitting bricks right now.
It just crossed my mind, but I just thought about it. Do you think the reason they have this specific villain being as completely awful and condemnable as possible is because they're trying to, if Sherlock is getting involved, trying to make this a question of morality for him as well,
I can see that. I can see that happening
Yeah.
in the show.
making him so bad that our quote unquote protagonist has to also consider like, it's not bad, but it is illegal.
Mhm.
Yeah, and if there isn't a lengthy monologue of moralities and ethics between William James Moriarty and Sherlock Holmes, then I don't know what this show's doing.
Oh, I'll be upset because that's a pretty common thing that they do in a lot of the media for it as well.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So that I'd be upset if they didn't play into that like usual.
That all that being said, I am genuinely anxious for the next episode and to see how things might go terribly wrong for our classist revolutionary band. Anti-classist revolutionary band.
This is our first two-parter.
Well, no, the childhood was a two-parter too.
Well, yeah, it didn't feel like a two-parter is the thing with it.
Oh, well, let's see how we feel about. Let's revisit that thought. I'll be curious to hear if you still feel that way next week, because they do a good job at
This might not
blending.
either.
Hmm.
This might not feel like a two-parter either.
Yeah. I don't know since Sherlock is there, and we obviously know the threat he poses above game, quote unquote, like because but the characters don't know yet. I am anxious to high hell to see how this plan goes wrong and how Sherlock ruins everything and like I because this is a long play. I feel like they're setting up a long play, and also this as a final note, this episode is just fantastic visually. Like both the set pieces and the use of expression and nuance on the characters. Like I took so many screenshots for the stream, so like, and it's gonna be hard picking what slides I use for the stream because just so much good looking like chandeliers, tables, the atmosphere, the lighting, the everyone's expressions and slight shifts and character moments. Just mwah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now that we have our votes out of the way, I apologize for that again. We can get on to Macho no Tabi Tabi, episode 7. In this, or episode 7, this episode is a two-parter, where Elena visits a country with a wall that was torn down because of Saya. As well, there was a grape stomping country, where she stops fraudulent business and starts a tradition of throwing grapes at each other. This is our second two-story episode of this season, except this one wasn't extremely depressing.
Yep.
And as Ronald Reagan once said, tear down these walls.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. But yeah.
This episode was 24 minutes long. It felt like it was 8.
It really
It
does.
felt like everything happened really, really fast, and I felt like I blinked and the show was over.
So fast. Unsatisfyingly fast. But at least we got
so rushed.
Yeah, but at least this episode had the cameos of all of our favorite characters, Saya and the muscle weightlifting boys.
And
those are our favorite characters, right?
Saya, the muscle weightlifting boys, and Nike, or the traveling witch, which is obviously definitely not related to Elena somehow.
Oh no, not at all. Not in any way.
So, I had the timeline confused for a minute there, because 10 years ago, Nike visited. Looks exactly like Elena. But Elena is older than 10, so it couldn't have been her mother, because she would know her mother's Nike.
Yeah,
Elena
and like
have an older sister she doesn't know about.
Elena now is 16, 18?
Well, no, she must be older than that, because she said it's been years since she saw Saya.
Fuck.
When she meets with Saya.
Yeah, but she saw Saya when she was 14.
Either way, I think Nike is an older sister of Elena, because it can't be her mother with this timeline we have. It can't. Because Elena would know her mother is Nike, because she would have been a child reading the books.
Also, Nike has the same hat as Elena and Elena's mom. Like, they did this really poorly. Like, it's really the timeline and like the time skips. I get what they were doing. They never showed Nike's face because they intended us to think that it was Elena, and then it's like, oh, you look like the traveling witch. And she's like, what do you mean? It's like, you have her hair, but your face is different and your tits are smaller. And I'm like, cool. Cool. It made no sense. Like I just like you, I'm very confused by the timeline to the point where like I squinted at the screen and like my head hurt a little bit. Like I feel my brain squeezing trying to figure it out, and it's not succeeding.
I actually liked the wall part because it was funny because she goes there and the actual joke of them going like, "Yeah, I wrote this." Then you see the next cut. Damn it, we already broke up, and they're just crossing out all these lines until they break through the wall. And the fucking girl that broke up with her boyfriend now found a girlfriend, or at least a friend.
No, you mixed up your characters. The girl who broke up found a guy across the wall who I think was like implied to be writing the same thing as her, and now they're together. And then another girl is now friends with the girl she met on the other side of the wall. At least that's how I remember it. Also, what about the fucking edgelord wearing a fucking paperboy cap and a katana on his back, writing "I am the angel fallen from darkness," and then he grows up and is like, "God, what the fuck did I write? Cringe."
Oh god, I just that was funny, and but what caused that, uh last episode when we saw Saya, I was happy. She was still kind of weird, but I was happy. But then we get to this and I'm like, "Oh no, you've walked back. You've gotten worse.
I
Stop
kinda,
writing it all over the wall."
yeah, I kinda agree, man. Like again, I in my notes, okay, Saya, take it back now, y'all. Like, chill out.
You chilled a little bit, but now you've gotten worse again. What
How are you?
happened?
How are you worse now that you're not compelled to tell the truth all the time?
It was uh,
I actually liked her appearance.
I like Saya. She's cute, but she was worse. They used her better in the previous episode than they did here. Also, I didn't expect her to show up this soon again.
one thing I think this is my favorite thing about the wall part of this episode, the first half, was when Elena is getting there, the wall's destroyed, and she's looking around, and you find out like the traveling witch carved on both sides, "This is the best town," but then she also carved on somewhere else, like right in the middle, saying that this is the best town.
Oh, is that what that was?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. I
Like
thought they just recreated it.
somewhere out of sight where the two towns wouldn't see it, but it was really, I thought that was a nice addition.
Yeah, I did too. For the record, I really liked the first part of this episode, like the wall city. Like, it's a great message. It's a great psychological concept. And I didn't put that together. Oh man, I love that. That's really sweet. Cause yeah, I like that a lot.
I'm
So,
glad they didn't do something I thought they were going to do. When Elena asked which town had the more signatures, I thought they were going to have like the two old guys were going to argue like they do in a lot of anime, and I was going to be
Yeah,
upset.
me
But they
too.
didn't. They both very calmly said like, "Don't you understand? We both had the same amount."
this
Yeah,
is
I liked that.
this was a story of the light novel that was very interesting because I actually wanted to go check when this was written. It was written in 2018, the light novels. So I got curious. Now there's nothing saying it, but with the whole message of unity and when this was written, I think this may have been a sort of. I think they may have wrote this message for this story because of a certain president.
I I figured that's where you're going with that right now, and honestly, I know what you're referring to, but honestly, this just feels more like a Berlin Wall kind of situation.
Honestly, yeah.
And it's just, I mean, honestly, like that's the beauty of these kinds of stories, because it's philosophy and it's human psychology, so you can apply it to many points in history and in your own lives, where we divide, where like for some reason we still have this like tribalistic mentality of dividing ourselves over irrelevant matters that ultimately don't actually hold a lot of weight. We just make constructs and find reasons to divide each other, to divide between ourselves, divide each other. And once you find that commonality, once that empathy is reestablished, people come together, and we see it time and time again. Fortunately, in this town, it didn't have to come at a great cost of like tragedy and like social suffering. It's just people called themselves out and came together over it, which I fucking love.
I like the one line where they mention, "We realized we were no better than each other because the things we wrote on the wall." I like that line.
Yeah. And now they compete who can like better help each other and better understand each other. And I love that. It's a good town. It's not a fucking country.
And then we have the second part, which is also about, unity as well. With
Yeah, but we
this
get
town and that town.
yes, and
With
we
a
get
capital
drunk
T.
Elena.
Capital T's. This town, capital T this, that town, capital T that.
Yes.
Yep.
What the fuck is this episode?
It's great, is what it is.
What the fuck is the second part of the episode?
It's great, is what it is.
It's grape?
Ah,
Great, babe.
hey.
Uh...
Oh,
Don't tell me you didn't like Drunk Elena.
Drunk Elena was funny, and for the first time I think in the whole show, I think Elena was my favorite part about the second episode.
she showed a lot of different emotions than usual.
Yeah, like when the other lady looks at her chest and goes, "Ha! You think you can compete with me?" Then Elena just, if she had a 12 gauge, she would have pulled it out.
Well, she has a wand that is very capable of doing that.
I mean, they referred to the grapes as bullet grapes.
Fucking Gatling
The
grape
grape
guns.
bullets.
Gatling grape
She
gun is
knocked
oh so
everybody
good.
out.
We
I'll
got
never
to
get
see
over
drunk
that.
magic.
I'll never get over that. She got fucking drunk on wine because she was drinking for the first time. She lifted all the things of grapes, launched them out like Gatling guns, knocked everybody out, and ran away before they woke up.
She totally fell asleep, woke up sober, realized what she did, and fled. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, we didn't see it, but you know she did.
Yeah, and I love how they're like, how when the kid's like, "We should thank that witch," and he's like, "Yeah, we should," but in his head, he's just like, "No,
Also,
she did
also
nothing."
the very end of this, where where it's the child talking. This episode was really messy with its time frames because the insinuation is that's a good several years afterwards.
Yeah, when the old man fucked Rosemary.
So like the timelines in this episode were a mess.
The pacing and
Yeah.
timeline of both parts are just bad. Like really bad. Like Sword Art Online levels of bad.
It's just funny to me because he fucks Rosemary. Rosemary has a kid, and he makes his own son call him Grandpa.
I don't understand. Like, dude, let's talk about the bad stuff in this episode. Because I think we sang all the praises I could possibly sing this episode.
I didn't finish my point.
Go ahead. I'm upset.
My point was gonna end with, I think the reason he did that is because he's old enough to be her father, so he didn't want anyone questioning things.
Well, with the fetishization in this second part, and not my word, they
literally
literally
said
say
it.
they literally say fetishization, blush, and start chanting fetishization, fetishization.
Yes,
What the
but they're
fuck?
not fetishizing little girls, so I'll take what I can get.
Okay, fair, but
They're fetishizing a sexy woman who knows the value of her own body and uses it to sell wine. I
and
respect that woman.
her own body
They
and her
actively
feet.
want to fetishize, and then they actively want to fetishize Elena.
Lovingly stepping on grapes is said
That
more.
terming that they keep saying, they said it so many times, and it made me uncomfortable because it sounds like a certain fetish that I don't like at all.
It's echoing
Well,
in my
you know,
mind right now, the grandpa's voice, the village chief's voice saying it in the uwu speak, and I'm like, I am an advocate for uwu when done right. This is not it, chief.
you don't want your wife to step on you, Gilly?
Like from what the old man was saying, I'm pretty sure that's what he wanted Rosemary to do to him.
I'm pretty
And
sure
it
that's what
eventually
Rosemary
happened.
ended up doing to him.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, you know she's the dom.
He's sub 100%. But what the fuck was the point of the ambiguity regarding Rosemary's identity at the end there when the kid's like, what happened to Rosemary? And the grandpa's like, well, that's a story for another day, me boy. And then the lady, who's obviously Rosemary, turns around and she's like older and slightly chubbier and they never name her. Why? What's the fucking point? We know that's Rosemary.
Because Elena said she was going to turn her into the police, remember?
It's
It was
stupid.
implied that they were going to turn her into the police for selling fraudulent wine.
Oh, you think that's why?
I'm pretty sure that's why, because it was implied there was going to be this whole legal court case. Elena says this can be brought to court. Which court? What? There are courts in this world?
Yeah, the witch court.
Magic court.
I
Yeah.
want to see Elena wearing a suit and tie being tried for her war crimes.
It's like the court from Harry Potter where you just stand in a circle and there's a bunch of people about 15 feet above you judging you.
Yeah, no, that's why I got the ambiguity, because she said she can take you to court.
That sounds right, but it sounds like you cared way more about this episode than I did. Because at that point, I was just like, when is this going to be over?
Well, you've also been sort of on and off the show the whole time, so it makes sense.
I will say this. The show is still incredibly pretty to look at. Like, it's unfair because we have such a good-looking season. Like, we really do. We have a really, really good-looking season of anime and roster.
I mean, it was such pretty animation when she was lovingly stepping on grapes.
I wasn't paying attention to that part. I'm talking about the grapes themselves in the opening shots for the second part, and the wine fields and the vineyards and like the grapes hanging off with the sun behind them and the blue sky and the sunlit leaves. It's gorgeous, beautiful setting and environmental pieces.
The way of Elena's rage as she rapid stomped those grapes.
Oh my god,
That was not
Akuma.
lovingly stepping, she was stomping those.
Did anyone else catch the joke they made about the one guy that tried the Elena wine?
No, I didn't. I don't remember that. I didn't catch it.
Someone tried the Elena wine. It was like right at the end of the episode, and they said it was tasted spicy because the grape molders.
Fucking Akuma Elena with the dark Hado, like, on the label.
Oh,
It's on the label too, it's not just a normal picture.
Elena could totally be an Akudama, and I would not bat an eye.
I would, because we already have one egoistic female character in Akudama Drive, and she serves her part very well.
I don't know, me, but kind of sounds like you want Elena to step lovingly on your grapes.
Not Elena Rosemary.
Everything you just said makes me mad.
Listen, Listen, it's going to be a tough choice for my waifu slash husbando because I have two choices racking in my brain, and I'm upset because I can't choose. No, wait, three.
I will say this.
God, I just want
Rosemary,
to throw all your questions against the wall.
I will say this. Rosemary, while being an utter bitch, she's hot. I'll give her that. She's hot.
Oh yeah. Do you think Rosemary's her real name or the name that she used for the label?
Probably the
I
latter.
think it's her stage name.
That might also be what he meant by like the ambiguity about where did Rosemary go, is that wasn't her real name, so she's going by her real name now.
Oh, yeah. I almost certainly.
We ready to hold up cards, ladies and gents?
I am.
Gilly.
I don't want to start this.
Okay. I'm gonna fuck this episode. I've sort of let go of my issues and I'm just letting the ride happen. I'm on this ride. I've been on it for 7 episodes. Unless something truly atrocious happens, I'm sticking on it. Yeah, Laurent?
So I've had to think very carefully on this because while there were things I enjoyed, there was a lot of things that were a mess and kind of felt weird and I didn't like. And I've had to sit here and weigh the good against the bad because it was it's hard to figure out how I feel about it. And as much as this show has been bringing me back around and I've been enjoying it, and I wouldn't say this was particularly bad, but it had enough problems for me that I am going to kill this show.
Okay.
It's just there was a lot of issues.
Down, Laurent?
I liked the first part. I liked it a lot. The lessons and the overall plot of it was really quaint and sweet, and I thought it was well done, despite its pacing and horrendous timeline issues. I don't know why we needed Saya in it. It could have used a new character, add a little bit more variety to the show. But, you know, it was quaint and nice. The second part, yeah, like, it's really fucking weird. And don't get me wrong, like, I mean, there's nothing wrong with, like, expression of fetishism. Like, I'm not trying to kink shame anyone here. Like, if you have a foot fetish, if, like, whatever you're into, as long as it doesn't harm other people against their consent, or without their consent, like, you know, be you, do what you do. But it was all done for, like, goofs and gaffs in this episode, and this, like, really weird kind of, like, steam coming out of the nose kind of humor, and I just wasn't about it, and it completely lost me. And the ending of the episode really felt shallow and underwhelming as a result. Like, once again, I'm back to feeling unsatisfied by this show. And which is a shame because it's still really pretty to look at. Like I said, the environment and set pieces are brilliant, and that's the reason why I was curious about this show. I'm still waiting for that treehouse in the trailer, like the houses in the trees, not the ones from the first episode. But I thought I was going to be getting more fantasy, and I'm just not getting what I wanted from the show. The ending song is still lovely, but unfortunately, I'm back to holding up a knife.
Alrighty. That is 2 kills and the fuck for Majano Tabi Tabi. Well, there are still some other shows. Who knows? Maybe something else can die. But for now, let us talk about Ikebukuro, Westgate Park, Episode 6. Just give me a second. And
I got a synopsis for you. Shit got fucking real.
The second in command of the G-Boys, his faction of the G-Boys, repeatedly gets attacked by a group going by the name of Shadow. Mikado investigates what's going on, and the second in command announces he will be launching a war against King's faction. All while it's implied that the Red Angels are the one that got Shadow to attack them.
Is that implied?
Yes, because they're
I
walking
think
away.
so. At the very end, I'm pretty sure it's quite heftily implied. I'm fairly certain.
I
Yes.
I
The
can't.
the angle and the words they're using, it seems pretty heavily implied.
Also, they're walking away from the scene of the crime wearing the outfits that the people that attacked them wore.
Oh,
They're
really?
they literally have the murder weapons.
I did not notice the outfits. If that's true, then yeah, then without a doubt, you guys are right. I was stuck on the question of whether or not it was the Red Angels who organized or are Shadow, or if they are just, if their leader, I forgot his name, is, he's excited for the fallout. He wasn't the one who organized it, but he is happy it's happening because he can make his own stake into Ikebukuro now.
I think they are Shadow, but
Hmm.
I'll go ahead and say it. I don't care for this plot line because the show has not tried to get me interested or care about the G Boys
G
or
boys.
the Red Angels. That is where my problem with this episode comes in. Is it would be a really good story, but I just don't care about anyone involved except Makoto.
See, that's
And
really
that's the issue with the episodic nature it started with, is because the G Boys are there, but it doesn't get you to care about them.
that
It
is
doesn't
surprise.
explore them.
That is surprising for me to hear because up until the last episode or two, you've just been constantly saying you want the conflict between the gangs to happen. Like this is about to be a gang show, right? And
Yes, but I didn't realize how much I wouldn't care when it happened.
see, this is why we can't have nice things.
Because the show doesn't try to get me interested in them. It just they're there. In episodes 1 through 5, they're just there. It doesn't show any of them or their character. It's episodic. It doesn't get you invested in any of them. And now that this is happening, it feels like the midway of a season where it should have gotten you invested, but I don't care. It never got me invested in these characters. Because the
I
only
don't
one
know.
that's consistent is Makoto.
And King.
He's been in like 3 episodes and he's barely there when he is.
You need to appreciate quality over quantity, my dude. I personally am excited for Hotline Westgate Park.
We've I mean, we were talking about this just last week or the week before. Because we knew it was going to happen eventually. We were waiting for the eventual actual gang violence aspect of this show that is not reared its head very often.
It's true.
It's what I was. It's not what I expected at first. Like the way this episode starts off is fucking dark. Just seeing these
Jeez.
people in animal masks stopping traffic. It's playing the very operatic music, and as the people that
Jeez.
get out, they just beat them the fuck down with bats.
Just
That was fucked up.
I did not know where the opening was because when I heard the music, I'm like, oh my god, are they tackling religion? And then the dude kind of gestured for them to come on. I'm like, wait, is this another suicide episode? Like he wants them to hit him with the car? And then that happened, and I was just sitting there like, what the fuck? Jesus. Wha-
I I don't know, because you say appreciate quality over quantity, but I don't think the scenes where King is in, they're good, but they're not good enough to warrant me caring because he's in it so little.
I don't know.
Like the, the best scene he had was when he almost dropped the bat on the gorilla's head. Only in
Sledgehammer.
that episode for, I think I counted, it was like 50 seconds. He just shows up, but they don't explore his relationships with anyone. They don't really explore the character. There are surface level quantities, but none of them are explored or shown to be complex. it doesn't get me invested in these characters. Like I could give less of a shit if the second in command is gonna start a war because the show had no interest in getting you invested in the G boys. They're a just background factor. They've been absent from they were absent from episode 4 and 5.
I
Well,
think
I'm sorry. There's a phone call made to King in episode 4 and 5. That's about it.
the G Boys are ever present. They are Ikebukuro and they're constantly talked about.
But when they're not showed, there's no impact or weight to that. It's like being told, "Oh yeah, the mafia is here." Like Dong. Okay, perfect example. Donglong. They're there, but it's not showing any cause and effect.
They constantly are talking. They're telling you the effect, and I agree. Show don't tell is needs to be used more in this show, but there's only so much time, and the show is obviously Makoto focused.
Yeah,
So
but when it's telling me, I just don't care because it's not showing anything to back it up.
then you're asking for things you don't really want. That's what it sounds like to me.
No, I want to see more of them because I want to care about them. But the show has done nothing to get me to care about these characters or the gangs.
I don't know, when it showed me King caring about his men when they were injured, like that showed me a lot about his character. And then the little snippets of King we've been getting has given me everything I really need to know about him without diving into backstory and like the real meaty bits of it. G Boys are ever present, though their presence and ganghoodness was under question until we started seeing actual gang shit go down. Red Angels, I agree, have been pretty ambiguous. There's also like I think the show expects you to assume some things, which I agree is not exactly the best philosophy and approach to these kinds of things. But the show is obviously building out Makoto as much as possible because we're going to be experiencing everything through Makoto and allowing everything else to be set up as like secondary characters and set pieces.
And that's also the
Speaking of
having. I don't.
speaking of Makoto, he's he's not a very good actor.
Not,
I forgot that's the B plot of this episode.
listen, I looked at the scenes where it shows him in the porn shop. I looked and I read all of those porn titles. Well,
Oh, me
not,
too.
but I looked at them. I'm like, huh. I
I
even saw
read
the one.
I read all 4 or 5 of them that they copy and paste throughout the shop. But the ones that they do have are actually like more detailed than I expected them to be if you look at them closely.
I wish the whole episode was just Makoto trying to be an actor. Maybe I would have cared. Like if the show just gave more of Makoto and didn't try to front load the gang shit in this episode, I would have cared. But like you said, that's not this show. But the show hasn't gotten me to care about the gangs, so I felt nothing watching this episode except for the porn shop scenes, which just made me want to go quit and watch porn.
Sounds to me like this show isn't for you.
It's not. That's like I'm not faulting anyone for enjoying it, but
How about you, Gilly? How do you feel about this episode of Hotline Westgate Park?
It's one of the things I've been waiting for is just seeing more of the actual actual like conflict between gangs or conflict towards the gang, a little bit more of that. Hasn't been a whole lot of it, and it's nice to see it brought to the forefront and made the primary point. Because the last time we saw anything real, there was the Red Angels, which was very. The episode with the Red Angels was very minimal uh, conflict. It was pretty fast. It was solved very diplomatically. The last time we saw really any conflict towards the gang was with the fucking YouTuber.
yeah,
That's still my least favorite episode, the fucking YouTuber episode.
yeah. I just
But yeah,
don't know what the show wants. I don't know what it wants to be. I don't know what it wants to do, and I just find myself not caring.
I am really surprised they pull the gang trigger this early. Like, I know my prediction was the last 3, 4 episodes were going to be this, but I didn't think the middle of the series is going to be this. Because we're in episode, what, 6? 6. And, like,
Yes.
boom, gang war. And I like the setup. I like the setup of it. There's someone obviously targeting people, and whoever's doing it is aware of the power structures, not just within Ikebukuro, but within the gangs themselves. And the muscle, the lieutenant, King's lieutenant, who's now going by Knight, is a fucking idiot, is a fucking moron, and he's craving violence because
He's
he's
a
craving
meathead.
power. Hmm? What was that?
He's a meathead.
Yeah, he's an absolute meathead. That being said, like I know we were kind of shown. This is one thing I do agree with Meep. Like I know we were kind of shown that he was disagreeing with Takashi, but mainly he's disagreeing with Makoto being part of the G Boys without being in the G Boys. Like that's the main conflict I saw between the two of them. The way he like turns tail and is like, "Man, fuck Takashi." Like I don't like how he does things. We're like we might be 30% of the G Boys, but we're all fighters and we're gonna take this town. And I'm like, where is this coming from? That was the part that caught me off guard. I'm like, what? What? Why are you turning on Takashi? He's like, man, fuck him. I don't trust that motherfucker. And I'm just like, why? What happened?
It's felt like over the episodes with him and King, he's been sort of slowly building this anger towards him, relying so heavily and trusting Makoto the way he does.
Yeah, that got across to you.
That's what it's felt like, because it's felt like this just building anger with his boss that he's not even one of us. Why is he getting as much as he is? Why are you giving him so much of your time? We have other things. Why are you doing this?
And there was also the whole thing. Why are you not relying on me? I could take care of this. Why do you go to Makoto?
It just felt like I felt like it's been this building anger. It felt like it exploded a lot more than it should, but it does feel like it's been building up.
This, I hear you. I hear you. I did not get that kind of I did not get that much out of it. And I'm glad that you did because it makes sense now more hearing it from your perspective. But for me, this episode almost lost me, or at least my immersion, when all of that was happening, until King was just like, yeah, I always expected him to do it. He's effective and he's got a lot of power and potential, but he's young and he lacks experience. And that whole conversation was really good. But the fact that they kind of like hard locked King out of the first half of the episode where no one could have reached him, I thought was really sus. And I feel like we're ready. Are we ready to hold up cards, or are there other things you want to talk about, Gilly?
I mean, I'm ready.
Meep.
I'm ready.
Right. I'm realizing I'm going into my closing thoughts already, so I just wanted to ask. I'm gonna hold up the fuck card. I'm fucking the show. The gang war is happening a lot sooner than I expected, but I am gonna trust the show to. This was a little rocky. It was interesting. It was dynamic. It was a hard shift. I guess we're done with politics, right? It's no longer a political show, right, guys?
I mean, at least for
Mm,
now.
I I doubt it. I feel like they're gonna tackle other subjects later on. I feel like this is gonna be a two-parter. Then we're gonna get back onto the episodic.
That would be really awkward because I can't see them. This is part one. You're right. This episode does say part one, but I just will feel uncomfortable going back to what this show has been after this has happened without it being utterly resolved because it just feels like if they do take a break then it's just going to be hanging over the show like this dark stormy or stinky cloud depending on how they do it.
This show loves tying things up in neat little bows. So,
Good point. Good point.
like, best example, the dad episode. They totally could have had him not learn the secret of his son's death, and that would have been a lot more satisfying to me purely have the message that sometimes life just doesn't work out the way you want it to. I like having that message, and it felt really awkward them just confronting him right away, which is why I had the thought that he might take his life. But and here, judging by how the show does things, like with the previous episode and the man, I really do live in a nice place with them adopting his sister. It it loves tying all these stories in neat little bows, which is fine, but I don't know, seeing everything work out all the time isn't interesting to me. I I like there being some notion of tension, but
Well,
coupled with the fact that I don't really care about the conflict, and I'm fairly certain it's going to get tied up neatly, judging by the show's track record. I feel no tension.
so I believe me, but
That's a kill. For any of you wondering,
that's a knife. What do you got there, Meep?
a knife.
No!
I'm gonna fuck this show. I think you said, you know, King being gone for the first half of the episode was sus, and I think that was sort of the point because they were trying to lead in the insinuation that maybe he was staging the attacks. They were trying to drive it home by making him unavailable.
Kind of make the viewer believe it too for a bit.
Make the viewer have to like consider it. Yeah,
I don't
make you
think
wonder
it's
like,
King.
is he the one causing this? Didn't feel like King, so I was like, I don't think so, but
Same here, but Gilly, apologies. Could I interrupt your final thoughts just really quickly for a minute?
oh, that's all I was gonna add. I'm just fucking the show.
Oh, cool. Right on. In that case, one last question before we move on. We did get one thing that I think all three of us have been waiting for in the show, and there's slightly a more solid understanding of, or at least a more solid look into Makoto's and King's relationship. Because I don't remember if it was the last episode or the episode before it, where I'm like, I really like none of us fully understand why Makoto is doing what he does, apart from his love for Ikebukuro and his own connections. But him and King's, the relationship between King and him has always been slightly ambiguous, and to the point where I was like, oh god, I really hope it's not because Makoto is indentured and in debt to King. And this time they kind of stand on equal grounds to the point where King is like, he's like, I love you, bro, but if you ever fucking tell anyone, I will beat the shit out of you.
It finally showed that their relationship is that of good friends.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to get a little bit more look into that relationship. I just this is why I always have issues with shows that start episodic and then turn into narrative. Like
Oh,
Garo Vanishing Line did this, and it killed me on it too. Uh, Yukoku no Moriarty was doing this, but the only reason I am okay with it is because episode 2 and 3 are a part of the larger narrative, so I can really forgive that narrative structure. But even then, episode 5, I was kind of falling off with how that story of the lady dancing on the bridge was handled. And in this is the pure epitome of me not liking shows that are half episodic, half narrative.
yeah, fair enough. When you put it that way, I understand more where you're coming from now.
Because it just feels like they want best of both worlds, but they lose so much trying to do both that they all feel disjointed and not really well told to me. I don't know. Those are just my closing thoughts. We'll be taking a short break here.
I
Oh, no, you continue. I'm sorry.
was going to say something.
Yeah,
Uh,
please. By all means.
if if from this point on it does continue along a primary plot point in a narrative, if it does do that from this point on, all I have to say is, looking back, that makes me feel more that all the previous episodes, while being episodic and tackling some political issues, were more about setting up each individual group and the main characters and how they are as people.
Oh yeah, that's the
If
point
it
I was
does
trying to
continue
make.
like on a full plot point, then everything prior to this was set up.
And considering this is happening mid-season, I think that's exactly what might be happening. That's the point I was trying to make before when I was like, when me and Meep were having our argument, our disagreeing discussion, um, discussion and disagreement, um, is that like I feel like they have been slowly establishing things. Now, I don't disagree that they could do a better job at it, but yeah, I think that's exactly what they're trying to go for, what they were trying to
Yeah.
go for.
And also, when we have 7 shows a week, and there are shows doing what this is trying to do much better, in my opinion, then I there has to be something cut somewhere.
Nah, dude, it's fine. Like, I get it. I just, I like the show. I'm surprised by how much I like this show, but I like this show. To be fair, again, there are things it could be doing better, and I'm still always hoping that this show will do better. So if it continues not to, it might very well lose me down the way.
Oh, off topic.
After episode 1, I knew how I felt about this show. Nothing like some good old fruit ramen.
Off topic. Did anyone watch the after credits scene in Akudama Drive?
Yes, but we're gonna get to that during Akudama Drive.
Because normally I make sure to remind people that when episodes have an after credit scene, but I forgot to with that one.
Ah, it's okay. Anyway, this is a
Just
good
'cause
point
it's
to take a
important.
break.
Yeah.
Cool.
We will be taking a short break in which we will join talking about episode 7 of Jujutsu Kaisen.
Jujutsu Kaisen. Interesting times ahead. Alright, guys, we'll see you in a minute or so.
More
Yeah.
after credits.
Hello, and welcome back to FMK Anime. We are here with Jujutsu Kaisen, episode 7, where Jogo and Gojo do battle while Itadori watches and learns. Jogo initiates his domain, but Gojo removes his blindfold and releases his own domain. However, another curse saves Jogo, and we see them meet with 2 other humans/curses. Alright, I'm just gonna go flat out and say it. Can we have our first best episode nomination?
But we're not talking about Akudama Drive yet.
We will get to there later. But still. This is the best episode of Jujutsu Kaisen yet. It's action-packed. It gives a look into how Jujutsu works. It's funny when it needs to be, and it's cool. It's beautiful, absolutely stellar. And it gives us a fucking awesome cliffhanger.
You know what else is beautiful?
Gojo?
Gojo.
It's just nice.
My god, he is what with the blind. I liked his design before. With the blindfold off, he becomes handsome boy.
He's not
He
handsome.
is so
He's
hot.
pretty.
And he has such a great personality. I love him.
I'm just happy to have other people talking about how good a show looks, other than me for once. I
Because this
completely
episode
agree, by the way.
is beautiful.
I think
Yeah, in
I
case it
think
needs
this
to be
show.
said.
I think this episode had some of what in terms of like what was happening in the setting. It had some of my favorite stuff just because the actual domain of Mr. Lava Head was very well done and very nice looking.
Also, Gojo straight up calls him Volcano Head, and I literally went, ha!
It's pretty on
I
brand.
Yeah, it really is.
I I love the scene where he's like, "Here, come on, touch my infinity," and they start holding hands, and he's like, "See, you can never really touch me," and then he starts holding hands with them, and he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "No, look, you're making me embarrassed too." And it just
He's
really
linking fingers with him.
gets really oddly sexual, and I'm like,
It
"Wait, what?"
wasn't.
They just fucking kicks him in the stomach. I'm like, "Oh, okay."
Nah, me, that's just your horny talking again. I didn't get any sexual vibes from it, but it was great where he's just like, no, no, here, look, give me your hand, and you can't touch me, and then he grabs him and then just starts fucking yo-yoing him, like paddleballing him with his fist.
No, that was the part of the joke there, right, Gilly? When he starts locking fingers with him and says, "Look, you're making me embarrassed too." That was a part of the fucking joke. Don't make it out to be like me.
I don't know. Last episode, you said you're looking to get into some weird, and Volcano Head is plenty weird with his black teeth and Volcano Head and one eye.
Yes, I want to get weird with him, not Gojo. I want to get weird with Gojo though too.
This was a
I
really
didn't.
good fight. It's
I
like
didn't.
yeah, it's a really good fight because like not only because of just almost the entire episode, like 75% of the episode is action, and it's really good. Like there were some scenes that I thought could have been done better, but since it was so long running, it was stellar. The effects on the lava and the fire and the impacts and the water that they were on, all just impeccable. But most importantly, we finally got to see a a glimpse of Gojo's powers and b the sheer magnitude of his power.
I I think there's merit to him saying he can beat Sukuna now. Or Sukuna. I in episode 2, I was with you guys like, yeah, I think he was saying that to just settle Itadori. Now I'm rethinking that because the way his power works is that he's almost impossible to hit.
Unless you get taken into a domain. His unless he's in neutral or in his domain, his power doesn't work the same way. So and Sukuna has, I think he it kind of made it. I'm getting the feeling like Sukuna was the originator of the inherent domain ability. So I
Yeah,
don't think
because
Gojo. Hmm.
I was gonna say yeah, because we've seen him go. I'll show you what real jujutsu is: domain expansion.
Yeah. So I think. Yeah, I don't think Gojo can beat Sukuna. I think we had I still think we had the right read in episode 2 or 3 or whatever that was. But damn it all to hell if Gojo did not just kick some ass. Gojo OP, but please don't nerf.
With
I
such ease. And this guy is 8 or 9 fingers worth of Sukuna. That's why I'm like, he did it with such ease.
I,
Granted, we don't know how it stacks up, but
I do want to say that I've there's so much you learn about Gojo from this fucking episode. Like even though it's all combat, there's a lot you learn about him. And one thing that is small but I find interesting is his immediate capability of gauging the strength of his opponent before anything's even really started.
I think he
Because
has.
it was an immediate like it was just this immediate he is stronger than Sukuna at this point.
Yeah. I also think that's part of Gojo's power that he sees, like he has a third eye. He has a level of omnipotence.
do you think he was expecting Itadori to resurrect?
Who? Gojo?
Gojo.
I don't
Do you
know.
think that he was expecting Itadori to resurrect? Like, I know he seemed broken up, but
I think he expected it might happen. I don't think he knew it was going to happen because his behavior was in line with Itadori dying. But I think he knew that it was very possible for Sukuna. But the thing is, though, at the same time, I think if he did know that, he also knew that for that to happen, he would probably have to make a pact with Sukuna, and I
which is
mean,
why,
yeah, his behavior last episode, not this one, the previous one, is indicative of that too.
I want to talk about one little joking thing off of Gojo just for 1 second, only because I had to take a screen cap of it because it was fucking hilarious.
Okay.
Is when he went to pick up Itadori, that Itadori's sitting there watching Lord of the Rings.
Yes. 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 Yes.
I had to take a screenshot of that because it was so obvious that okay, for the animation style was beautiful and that freaked me out.
Bishojo hobbits.
It was so good and not actually bother, and they put detail into it. They fucking made the elven necklace. Why that much detail on a screen cap that is just the fucking
oh,
Lord of the Rings? Why did they do this?
oh my god, that is Lord of the Rings. I didn't realize that.
You didn't catch that?
I've never seen any Lord of the Rings movies.
They even animated the fucking the leaf. I just why
Also,
why why they put so much detail into it?
adding to the humor in that scene, Gojo is obviously a big Lord of the Ring fan because he considers that movie to be very emotionally moving and was really impressed that Itadori is able to just take it in stride.
Yeah, we know Gojo's a huge nerd. He's a
Nerd.
he's a look, honestly, from all those movies, I think that might be his personal collection. I think Gojo's a cinephile. I legitimately do. I think he is.
Do you think Goku would play video games with everyone?
Oh, 100%.
Probably.
I want to see that as just a not filler episode, but like, because you know the manga does some
You
goofy
just
shit. I want to see
you
him.
just you just pan over to a brief scene where where he's fucking playing Super Smash Bros. Brawl.
Well, okay, canonically, Bleach, Dragon Ball, and all those anime exist in this universe. So how do we know he wouldn't play Jump Force with everyone?
I
Because they've
think
specifically brought up Super Smash Bros.
I think Itadori is an Xbox player. Gojo is a PlayStation player. Fushiguro is PC, and Nobara is a Nintendo girl.
Nice.
That's the bet I would make.
Okay, to explain for our audience what Gojo's power is that he has this ring of infinity that the closer you get to punching him, the slower you go because there's an infinite distance between you two.
Yeah, basically there is an inherent distance, like trans-dimensional distance between everyone, and the closer you are to Gojo, the more it intensifies into this almost barrier of force of matter. Except it's not matter, right? It's almost like dark matter because it's not visible to the eye.
He creates a black hole with his finger.
Was
Or
that what
not
that
a
was?
hole. It was he called it a void because he said, "I wonder what happens if something touches this void."
Yeah, which is kind of black holy, but you know, it didn't bend light around it. It just was red and fucking badass looking. Also, there's a color system to his attacks, and I assume red is far from the strongest. Wait, is it? If it's red, if was it infrared? Was it actually a black hole that only bent infrared light because it was only that dense?
I'm not sure. Uh, I just know that because the next thing they do is they go into the domain after he brings Itadori, and Volcano Head is worried that they found out their plan of trying to convert Sukuna. But we find out Volcano Head Man is a bit arrogant because Mr. Scarhead Man didn't actually want him to go fight Gojo. He's like, "You will die if you do." And then Volcano Man went, "Nah, fuck you. I'm gonna go fight Gojo." And then he started getting his ass kicked.
Well, Jogo even said that I half came here in jest, not thinking he didn't even think he could win. He came in jest, but now that he's seen the power difference, he can't leave.
It offends his pride as the true human. Curse me.
Yeah.
Curseman.
Then and then Gojo unleashes his domain, which is showing Jogo infinity, in which he can see and feel everything, but because of that, he isn't able to do anything.
He can't handle it. He can't process it.
Yep. Then Gojo rips off his head, and another curse steps in to save him with pretty flowers.
I'm more curious about that curse than any of the other ones, even adorable
Hanami.
Cthulhu.
I remember the name of that one.
What's his name?
Hanami.
Hanami, yeah. I'm curious about
Which
him
is
a lot.
a very
'cause he kind
cute sounding name too for what it looks like.
Yeah, the dude's a fucking beast. Like he's not, this like he looks terrifying, but his power is to grow flowers, and the attack he used pacifies his enemy. Doesn't hurt them or puts them just makes them not want to fight.
One tried to vor Itadori.
What?
One of the plants tried to vor Itadori.
Oh yeah, he can also summon little Trents. Angry Trents. Also, that part was hilarious. I laughed out loud where he's like, "No, Sensei, I'm fine. Go after them." And then the fucking Trent opens up and he's about to get in. Sensei, I lied. Help!
I lied.
I loved that. That was. They do a very good mix of humor along with everything else in this show. That it doesn't feel like awkwardly placed.
Yeah.
It's just good fun.
Itadori is my second favorite shonen protagonist, and he's come a long way from episode 1, where we thought he was kind of bland and thought Sukuna made him, but no, he's just really good all around.
The thing is, though, I really like Itadori with Gojo. He behaves differently with him, and they kind of have a similar humor. Like they have a similar personality and humor, but no, they have similar humor but different personalities and different positions in life, and you really see it shine. And Itadori is really funny these last two episodes, like genuinely funny. Like if it's not if it's not outright laughing, it's always fun to watch Itadori interact with Gojo and vice versa because they play off each other so well. Almost,
Yeah,
and I
'cause-
think like the voice actors get on with each other really well too.
Gojo plays so well off of everyone in different ways. Fushiguro, he's a lot more jesty towards and japey with. With the suit and tie man, he's a lot more serious. And I love Gojo. He is such a strong character, both metaphorically and physically.
Gojo has definitely the most range in terms of personality and character than everyone in the show, which understandably, because he's probably seen the most shit.
Yeah, and it all feels natural too. It doesn't feel like he's going out of character.
I mean, he's so charming and affable that he can make fucking shithead Takoyaki Volcano Head come up and hold his hand.
Do we want to talk? How do we feel about Gojo's magic blindfold that somehow spikes his hair for him?
He's so pretty. He's so
When
pretty.
he takes it off, his hair just falls down. And it's a combination of his hair, the way that the way his hair falls down, the weird, very gem-like appearance of his eyes, and not just his eyes, but the way the eyebrows and eyelashes continue to frame that.
Yeah.
And then for some reason that all works so well with his nose and lips. He just becomes pretty boy, and it's scarier than normal.
Yeah, spoilers. I guess like for this episode, if you didn't want spoilers, you guys are obviously watching the wrong show. He has like aquamarine blue topaz gem eyes, and he's so pretty.
It's fascinating because they call that technique the six-eyed demon or something like that. And I'm just thinking, they're like, He only has 2 eyes. What's the 6-eyed implication supposed to mean? Does he
Well,
have 6 retinas?
two on his nipples, one on his belly button.
No. You stop right there. Halt.
You just
Also,
pulled out
unlike most anime, this show has so much attention to detail that his eyelashes are also white, like his hair, which only makes him prettier.
Yeah.
Remember episode 3 where Nobara and Itadori are just acting like little kids, and Itadori's rubbing his face on Gojo?
Sure.
I saw someone do an edit of that. I'll see if I can find it after, but I saw someone do an edit where it was him without the blindfold with his hair spiked down and everything. I'm like, oh my god, he literally just is a dad.
Cool. Drop it in
just-
drop it in our Discord, and I'll drop a link to our Discord while this is streaming.
I love that. It's something about his hair, but just when he has the blindfold on, it sticks it up, spikes it up.
I
It's
think
true.
that's the Infinity. I think I
He
could
doesn't
be
even-
wrong, but
He almost doesn't even look like the same character once the blindfold comes off.
yeah. And he
He
also
has the
has-
same personality. He just looks like a different person.
yeah. He also has control over his Infinity too, because he obviously gets hugged, and he high fives people.
Also, it is
I also-
implied. I think Meep is right that it's when he has his blindfold on, the Infinity Force is on. So I think that actually is why his hair is up. I think Meep is right.
That would be a fun little detail of that. Which, speaking of that little barrier, small detail, when the blood splatters and it hits his barrier, I loved that.
The what? When?
When he holds the guy's hand, he hits him. When he spits
Oh
out
yeah,
the
yeah,
blood,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it hits the barrier on the side of his face instead of actually him.
I didn't catch it in the moment. I just accepted it as fact. But you said it. That scene immediately came back, and yeah, you're absolutely correct.
It's such a little thing, but it's really nice because it's an attention to that little detail.
Yeah.
Speaking of blood, Meep, I'm surprised you failed to mention. Oh, I mean, you said it happened, but you didn't. Gojo straight up Persona 5's fucking Takoyaki Volcano Head.
I've never played Persona 5.
When he rips his head off, there's a black spray of blood with a white and red background, and I'm just like, if it was red and black all through, it would be straight up Persona 5. But I just got like massive Persona vibes off of it.
It makes me think. It reminds me of the game Wet, which was a game that was just a parody off of Kill
I
Bill.
remember that.
Speaking of, I wanted to actually ask the Octopus Curse. Do you guys think it's secret overpowered curse, or do you guys think it's a little cute animal mascot curse?
Nah, he's gonna be strong.
Okay.
And I'm expecting Form 2, if not Form 3 from him.
It's just a buff octopus. It's like a buff squid off of Splatoon.
Baby
Oh.
Cthulhu.
Other things we got shown. We got to see Mr. Frankenstein that we've been seeing in the opening.
Yeah, Reaper Boy.
Yeah.
And we have names. We have names
And
from them now.
Yeah, he's implied to be a half curse, I think.
Yeah. Ghetto is Mr. Bad Monk, and Mahato is Reaper Boy.
Yeah. And then Plant Curse is Hanami, and
I like Hanami a
Jogo is
lot.
still alive technically.
Yes. Well, those kinds of curses can regenerate using cursed energy, so I'm assuming he's going to regenerate himself.
Oh, I'm sure. Probably gonna take a bit, seeing as he's just a head.
Yeah, like the. Other than that, we see Frankenstein. We also get confirmed that the guy they were talking to in the restaurant is from one of the schools.
Do we?
Because he said, "I can't let anyone from the school see me."
I think it's just he. I think the people in the schools are aware of him.
And why would they be?
I mean,
aware of him?
it'd be nice to it'd be an interesting concept to have one of the like a former student have gone rogue.
Also, good point. Yeah. To answer your question, Meep, why are they aware of Sukuna?
Because he's a special grade curse that fucking terrorized the world 100 years or thousands of years ago.
Yeah, maybe this guy's a fracking wannabe.
I don't know. Maybe. So, also, I actually did mean to bring up. You guys did mention there was a dead second year, which I didn't catch that and I was confused, but I did learn. Yes, there's a dead second year, and that's actually what the volume 0 of the manga is going to cover, which I don't know if it's getting an anime adaptation.
I
So
don't
I'm
know.
gonna pick up that volume when it comes out because it's actually coming out soon.
Let me know. I might want to check that out myself.
Who knows? Maybe the second year is Mr. Bad Monk. Or
Oh, that's a good point. Speaking of
Evan.
the two bad boys, anyone else scared for Mr. Reaper Frankenstein boys D&D players? Because he's obviously preparing to throw cloud giants at them, and cloud giants are no fucking jokes.
God damn it, Tyron, that fucking book. He fucking sets down that book and it just says it says Cloud Giant on it. Fucking Christ.
I thought you were calling me out for a second, Dalaron.
No, no,
You
no.
already left my campaign. What else can you do to me?
I stepped away from the campaign, but all's well that ends well.
Now you're kicked out of the FMK. Get what? No, I'm joking.
Alright, guys, stream over. I'm fired. Everyone
See?
go home, but not really.
I'm joking.
Yeah.
It's so.
Do we want to talk about? Oh, sorry. Go on, Gilly.
No, just that the whole joke, your joke there hurts me.
I want to talk about Jujutsu Walk.
Do we want to? Yeah, let's talk about Jujutsu Walk.
They just play soccer with fucking Jogo's head. They keep doing it.
So we're revealed the other big bad that is kind of like semi-spoiled in the opening, which I'm still unhappy about. And they're all so fucking casual.
Spoilers, we don't know who they are.
They're all so casual about it. And then we get the credit scene, which is still a fucking bop. Oh my god. Lost in Paradise is just so. Anyway, we'll get to musical awards at the end of the series, but at the end of the season. And then we have this like semi-dramatic. It's less dramatic. It's more like ominous reveal, and then they just start playing football with Takoyaki Volcano Head.
Yeah,
they're sitting there. They're stretching. It's like, what are you doing? Oh, this is Brazilian calisthenics, which I don't even know how to feel about that in general.
They're just silly good boys.
And they don't know what's gonna happen, and then you hear the fucking whistle, and they kick his head towards the fucking goal.
And fucking Hanami is the goalie.
The goalkeeper, yeah.
And I have their names written down. Otherwise, I wouldn't remember. Geto and Maito are just like being super buddy. It's like go. It's like pass, and then are you ready, Maito? And then overhead kick. And I'm like, what is happening?
This is the epitome of like a shonen goofy after episode, and I love it because it's really well done and fun.
There's no way the Jujutsu walks are canon, but they're still great.
Are you sure? Because the sushi versus steak was kind of canon.
Yeah, but
the thing is, at least the two human-like ones, the two human-looking ones, they seem to have the personality where this would not be that surprising. Hanami actually being the goalie is probably the one thing that is a bit of disbelief for me, but that's it.
Oh, I completely disagree. Hanami's the he went out to save the volcano head. He's the protective type, so of course he would be the goalie.
Then letting him kick the head around. Wouldn't he be like, stop that shit?
I guess. I was thinking that too, but maybe he was goalie because he was trying to catch. No, he punched Volcano Head back. Never mind.
Yeah, he punched it.
Yeah, just like all the other shonens that do the goofy after credits, this isn't canon. Unfortunately, the Killing Bites ones weren't canon. This one isn't canon. It makes me sad, but I love it.
I love this though. It's so nice. It's
Oh, it
goofy
was
and
really good.
fun.
Yeah, it was really good.
We should stop sucking off the show and by extension
Actually,
Gojo and all the
really
credits.
quick before we hold up cards, there's something I realized listening to you two talk about the after credit scene of all things. So we see the curses. First, we thought it was Volcano Head, who was just the arrogant fuck who was saying like curses are the true humans, the true beings of this world. Humans are the invaders. And we saw his personality, and we kind of not only did we see some of Hanami's, the big hulking plant dude's personality, we also saw him talk for the first time, and he also said, "Of course, I'm gonna go save him. After all, I am a curse, a true human or a true person." Are the big bad curses all based off of specific human emotion? Like he Volcano Head is like pride and arrogance, while Hanami is and Plant Boy is like empathy and guilt.
Maybe. Or maybe he's honor. He could be a sense of duty.
He could also, yeah. Just wanted to float that out there to see if you guys caught it, because I didn't catch it until we started talking about everything right now.
I definitely caught it because he asked you should probably go save him to being your it's the whole thing about him being your comrade if you can feel that sort of thing. And the basic
Yeah.
insinuation from Hanami is I we're the true humans, we're curses, we're pure emotion. Of course I feel it.
Right, that was the
And
line.
then
You're right.
yeah, and then he says, "Oh, a large statement for a curse." Who I don't think Mr. Badmonk is truly in league with these curses.
Oh, he's
I
not.
Well, obviously from what he said, he is definitely not a curse himself because his comments are indicating a bit of he definitely looks down upon these fellows to a degree.
which is why I think for him they're a means to an end, and that's why I'm curious about Mr. Half Curse.
We assume half curse. Yeah. What's his name? Matoy.
He has the two
Maito.
different colored eyes, and he's talking about being a half breed. I think it's a fair assumption.
Did he talk about being half breed? I know that he was like, "Let's do things right the way a curse does. Let's do things with patience the way a curse does,
He
the way
says
a human does."
let's do things with patience, like a curse and humans do, or some line like that that heavily implies he's a half curse.
I'm curious where the show's gonna go. I'm happy to hold up
I am
cards
too.
now if you guys are ready to.
They're gonna steal Gojo on Halloween, which makes me sad.
And Halloween in Shibuya.
Yes. Is that where the festival is being held?
I'm not sure.
Well, I'm fucking the show. I feel like I feel like it's obvious when it comes to the show.
Yeah.
Short and sweet. I like it. Gilly?
I'm well, I mean obviously I'm also gonna fuck this show as well. It's fun, it's a good anime, it's a very good shonen, and it's just enjoyable to watch. And with this episode, it we got a little bit of a tease into what another one of the curses we could do. We saw what one of the curses could do, and obviously he is nothing compared to Gojo. Um, and we definitely got to see what Gojo can do, and I don't even think we've seen. I think we've seen maybe half of his extent at the best,
At
which is
least.
scary.
I think we got a third at most.
I said half at best.
Yeah.
We at least saw an ultimate technique.
Uh, I'm fucking the show, making this a resounding trifecta. Uh,
Oh,
oh?
I just remembered we were talking about Moriarty when they're going because it's obvious, and we had a moment like that in this week where he's like, "It's obvious because you're weak."
Yeah, yeah. And
I
then
got a good screenshot of his lava popping out of all his holes when he said that.
also, two things to note about the show, just good scenes. Itadori being kind of like the counter experience, like the younger, the audience perspective in the show, where Itadori turns around and goes like, he's considered weak. That's what weak is considered. And then when Gojo activates his domain, completely overpowering Volcano Head's domain, he takes Volcano Head on a trip. We're going on a trip in our favorite. We're going on a trip in our favorite rocket ship. It is Gojo time. All life is flying.
The way he was just fucking playing with him too. He could have overtook his domain at any time, but he waited till the exact moment before he's about to be hit with a wave of lava to be fucking dramatic.
Because he was teaching Itadori.
Yes, teaching.
You
Yeah,
think
this
Gojo would
this
join the
is
Ginyu Force?
this is another stellar episode from this show. The whole fight was just fantastic. Though the one thing I didn't like about it is that it fell into the shonen trope of super strong main character or like hero not taking the fight seriously, and I literally have it written down in my notes. Stop playing with your food, sensei. Um,
But it
and
didn't bite him in the ass like it usually does.
not yet. It will, because fucking Takoyaki Head is alive.
Well, that's because he was trying to question Takoyaki Head.
He could have finished him off.
But he was trying to get information out of him.
Yeah, but he could have finished him off sooner.
He was playing with him, but at the same time, Gojo's given off the personality that if he knows that there is a imminent threat, he won't hesitate.
Also, Gojo has the ability to teleport, or at least warp. That's very quickly brushed over, I think intentionally so. Because he's like, wait,
Yeah,
where do we
because he just fucking appears, grabs Itadori, and gets back there like in a snap.
Yeah, because Itadori's like, wait, weren't we just in the movie room? What happened? He's like, oh,
10
I warped
seconds
us
ago.
here. And Itadori's like, what? And then the Volcano Head interrupts him. You could do that?
It's like I said, he was trying to get information out of him because this was an unregistered special grade, which is its own can of worms, and he was obviously not there of his own accord, so he was trying to get information out of him. And then that's when flowers appeared, and he was like, "Oh, flowers! Wait a second, this is a curse's power." Oh, he left. Then that's when Itadori was like, "I lied! Help! Help!"
Yeah, the flowers themselves were really pretty. The whole fight,
Oh.
the entire fight itself was like spectacular. Gorgeous visuals from both of the players' powers, and the display of power specifically for Gojo, really letting us start to get an understanding of his capabilities while still keeping him within mystery. Him revealing himself, and I literally went, "Oh no, he's hot!"
Speaking of the flowers, there's one thing that I need last thing I need to say,
Oh,
and that is the fact that the flowers like immobilize to a way that it stops you from fighting, and then how Hanami collected Jogo's head and was able to completely conceal himself as he ran away. Gojo's response of "he's definitely scarier" was I appreciated that.
yeah,
An actual like he knows how strong he is, but he recognizes when something is definitely dangerous.
yeah. Gojo isn't arrogant to a problematic degree. He's full of himself, he's cocky, but he's not arrogant.
Well, that was 3 fucks for Jujutsu Kaisen, episode 7. And with that, we move to Akudama Drive, episode 6. The Akudama do battle with the Executioner, while Pupil finds her way to the battle. In their last attacks, Brawler and Master deal fatal blows to each other, and in his hangar, Hoodlum uses the Executioner's blade to badly wound Pupil, destroying her left eye. The rest of the Akudama learn the boy can regenerate and they find an underground passage. I'm so sad Brawler is dead.
This,
I refuse to accept it.
yeah, we don't know if he's actually dead. His death wasn't confirmed. If he's dead, then it's also heavily implied that Hoodlum is also dead.
Yeah,
God,
which means
this
Hacker might be too. If that's how this show is gonna go, with just slowly picking off everyone, fuck.
this
I don't think
episode,
Hoodlum is
guys,
dead.
is just. Oh my god, I had to stop and take a break from this episode. Not from this episode, after this episode.
Yeah, Hoodlum isn't dead because you see him come back when they're talking about the passage.
I don't remember seeing Hoodlum there.
Like, they don't make a point of it, but you see him just slowly walk in through the foreground.
I must have missed that. I'm gonna go out and say this. I'm gonna establish this right now. I could talk for an hour, if not hours, about this one episode alone. Just because of how much. There's so much that happened in this episode, and I'm going to try to keep my thoughts concise. I could literally fill up a whole episode of anime FMK anime, just talking about this show, this one episode alone. So if I sound like I'm struggling with my words, it's because I watched it last night and I'm still overwhelmed by it in the best of ways to this moment. It's just incredible.
Yeah, this was a really good episode. My second favorite this week. And my second favorite in general, actually.
I cannot. The parallels between Brawler and Executioner Master, between Brawler and Hoodlum and Executioner Master and Pupil, but Courier, the dynamic between Swindler and Cutthroat, the dynamic between Swindler and the kids, the dynamic between Swindler and Doctor in herself, Cutthroat in herself, everything was just. And it's all well done. It doesn't drop the ball once, in my opinion.
I can't wait to see how Hoodlum handles Brawler's death. Supposed death, though it's heavily implied Brawler is dead.
What a fucking way to go, though.
Yeah, and I feel like Hoodlum's gonna try and take up the mantle that Brawler left. Now
If
that
he's alive.
assuming he kept the Executioner's blade.
He didn't, because she had it.
Oh.
She remembered the ending. Okay, so there's an.
She had two bloody executioner blades.
Yeah, which is why I think Hoodlum is also dead.
But you see him return. He can't be dead.
Gilly, did you see him return?
I didn't.
Like, it doesn't draw attention to it. You just see him slowly walk in from the foreground when they're talking about the fucking underground.
I'll have to double check. I didn't pick that up. You might be right, but I didn't register that. That's because my. All right, I can't talk about this episode if we just try to talk about it in its entirety. So I'm just gonna go back to the beginning. The fight is incredible. The animation is way back up there. I mentioned like the last two episodes, a few people felt a little off model. There wasn't as much detail. We're back at 100%, boys and girls. It is just everything. Everyone and everything looks amazing. I mean, the scene where Hoodlum is running down the alleyway trying to find where Brawler landed and his pompadour bouncing up and down was funny. And then just the overall animation, the blood, the eyes, the expressions, everything is incredible. Swindler is insanely expressive in so many different facets. The fight and relationship between Brawler and Brawler slowly, literally and figuratively beating Master down to his level, where he finally admits that, you know what, this is fun. I'm also, like, Brawler's like, because the whole time Master's like, fuck you, Akudama, why are you doing this? Why are you like this? And Brawler's like, because I'm having fun. Are you not having fun? And it gets to the point where Master's like, fuck this. I don't care anymore. Yeah, this is fun. And, it's just so good. It's just so good.
I while obviously a big point of this, a big part of this episode was the brawler and master fight. I also liked this just sort of like development with the hoodlum, showing like he at first he's talking about turning to first of all, rather than running away, the first thing he does is run straight to Brawler, who's embedded in the ground. That's already a difference. And then he wants to cut and run, but the second Brawler says, I won't get a chance to fight like this again, he doesn't try and argue. He just goes straight for it. Like, yeah, let's fight him.
And then he gets yeeted at Master because
He
Brawler
gets
once again
thrown.
hit a motherfucker with another motherfucker.
He reopened Master's wound, so I mean, it worked.
And
I
the
think he
Akudama-
called it. Sorry, Beep. I think he called it like Aniki Torpedo or something.
Something like how do you like my bro's tackle? That wasn't a tackle.
Sorry, Meep. Go on.
I was just saying, the Akudama just lost their best fighter. Like, I mean, Cutthroat's pretty good, but he's at the same time. I think Brawler in the end was stronger, if not. Like, Cutthroat's definitely slippery.
I think Brawler is the strongest Akudama in terms of sheer strength, muscle. Like, Cutthroat would not have been able to pull out those gates in the Shinkansen. But I think Cutthroat is at the level of Master because when Courier tries to shoot Master Executioner in the head, he deflects the bullet at Swindler to kill her, and Cutthroat blocks with a knife throw the bullet that was reflected, and that is milliseconds, half milliseconds of reaction time. And I think Cutthroat is probably the better fighter. Like, he's deadlier than Brawler, but Brawler is certainly the strongest. Also, really good Cutthroat. Incredible
fucked
Cutthroat.
up things this episode.
Yeah. You want to talk about that? Let's.
Yeah.
He fucking. We haven't seen. It's kind of. We haven't seen it since his introduction, but we've now gone back to. Oh yeah, he is fucking insane. Fucking removes his own legs.
Yeah, gets
And then
yeeted through a
shoves
building.
Yeeted through a building.
Multiple times, then gets pinned under rubble, and to save Swindler and to cut Executioner, he cuts off his own fucking legs.
And stabs through the child. Don't ignore that he stabbed through a child.
He held the child up as a human shield, and then literally drove his knife through the child to stab Master on the other side.
Exactly. Used Black Cat Kid as a human shield, knowing that probably betting that the Executioner won't stab a kid, and then stabs through Black Cat Kid into Executioner. To which
and his only reaction is, "Oh, without legs, I can't do the follow through as well."
Oh, my knife didn't go as deep because my weight is off because I cut my legs off. Oh, I guess they really are important. While Swindler has a fucking meltdown. And just his fighting is so flashy and upbeat, and he has all these overhead attacks with his knives, and he like spins the knives around and throws them to like throw off the Executioner Master. It's
It's with Cutthroat in this episode. All the little bit of warming up that was happening is now gone.
Yeah,
there was a little bit of warming up, and then like you fucking did not care about killing this kid.
Yeah, she slaps him and says, "You're despicable."
Because he starts going on about it's even better than that because nuance. This show gets it. Because she comes up to him because she's about to like lecture him the way she's done other people, like how could you do that to a kid? And before she can even get started, Cutthroat just goes, "Oh, come on. It's to protect, it was to save you. Your life is much more beautiful than," and she slaps him in the face for it. Because it subverted my expectations because I thought Cutthroat's gonna be like, "Ah, whatever, it's a fucking kid." Ha ha ha. No, he's just like, "Oh, I will sacrifice anyone to save you." And I can't articulate just how good the performance and the timing of the voice direction in that scene was. It's incredible.
I think
Honestly, from last episode and this episode, it is this realization that what started out is just some kind of creepy obsession because of hair color has turned into, I'm fairly certain Cutthroat is truly experiencing feelings of love for Swindler, which is kind of weird and unsettling in its own right.
yeah, I think Cutthroat is the next one gone if we are doing this slowly getting picked off.
I
Either
think it's
Cutthroat or Doctor.
I think it's Courier. We haven't talked
No,
about him in
because
the fight, which we should bring up, but his obsession to complete the job, I think, is going to get him killed.
yeah, but Courier has a deeper relationship, or at least a deeper connection with Swindler. That there's still stuff the show is planning to explore with that, with the yen and everything.
Every episode, they are hurting Swindler more and more since the last episode and this episode. So all the reason why it would hurt more to see Courier die.
I don't think they're gonna drop that this early.
Right. This is the half season mark, guys.
A lot of
Yeah.
stuff happening at the middle of the season right now for a lot of shows.
I completely agree. A lot is happening.
Yeah. They're
Honestly,
all
in this entire episode with the fighting, I think. I mean, Doctor doesn't really do much in general when it comes to fights,
I don't
but
think she's a fighter. She basically patches herself up, and then patches Cutthroat back up.
yeah. But I felt, at least in this time around, he did have a part, but it felt like Courier's part this time around was a lot smaller.
I don't
He
know.
was
He
good
held
for
his.
he was definitely had his parts, and if it wasn't for him, they wouldn't have gotten away.
Yeah, Courier was no joke this episode. He held his own with Master Executioner for a while, but he's just not a hand-to-hand combat guy. The metal arm definitely saved his life multiple times, though.
I keep wondering what that arm is made out of because it can stop this fucking lightsaber.
Speaking of lightsabers, the scene after Brawler and Executioner have their final fight, and they do the anime thing, the double knockout, like 3 times this episode, but the final one on the raining bridge, which again, the rain in this show, gorgeous, incredible. And that's that. I'm gonna jump the gun on my card. Everyone knows what my actual vote is going to be, but I'm gonna say this right now. That is at least my if not the operative word, my operative word for this episode is incredible. That shot with Hoodlum standing in the rain. If that was not a Star Wars reference, I would be severely surprised because he's standing in the rain. It's this wide shot horizontally, and he just stands up, picks up the student's sword, and you just see him sulking over the death of his brawler, of his Aniki, and just in the shadows of the rain, the yellow blade comes out, and I'm like, holy fuck, this is just a Jedi reference at this point. No ifs, buts, or ands about it.
yeah. Also, another reason why I don't think Hoodlum is dead is because Pupil is definitely too weak to fight. Like she was struggling to walk.
But Hoodlum is super weak.
Yeah, but she got cut down the fucking face with her eye being destroyed. And she woke up in a hospital. I don't.
The detail on that messed up eye is actually really good.
And
Yeah.
it's it's another classic storytelling mistake, right? Where the pupil becomes the master, or the succession of the parental figure, or the educating figure. In Django Unchained, you see that when Schultz gets, spoilers for people who haven't seen the movie. You know what? I'm not gonna use, just in case there are people watch that movie. It is really good. Um, when when the older main character dies due to circumstances, you see our main character pick up his mantle and really come into his own. And the same thing was being set up with pupil and master, where she now has his sword, and master had a scar across his face. He had someone fish hooked his mouth, and now she has this eye scar in a very similar manner. And the parallels are, it's just done really well in this show, where you can see the coming of age of the pupil, the development, the picking up the mantle, quite literally, but also incredibly done visually.
And we have that on the other side with Hoodlum as well. With Hoodlum, because if Hoodlum didn't have this relationship with Brawler, I don't think he would have fucking destroyed an executioner like he did. Do you think he also, put a few extra holes in Master's body after, just to make sure?
No, I don't think Hoodlum's that kind of guy. Also, that scene was just.
Oh, he's the kind of guy to get angry and destroy a young woman's eye over it. She wasn't even the one that killed him.
You're missing the parallels, my dude.
Parallels don't
You talk
matter.
about the you talk about the rain.
Yes, yes. I was leading up to that. I think I know exactly what you're about to say.
Let's see this thing. So I love the way they use the rain. But I was a bigger fan of how they used the lightning.
Oh, okay. Never mind. You're not leading to the thing I'm leading to, but yes, I also agree. The lighting in this episode, in this show, is incredible, has always been. But go on. I also agree with. I think I agree with what you're saying.
Well, I'm talking about the lightning.
Yes.
The lightning strikes. I appreciate how they use that to set up the very cinematic things, to create these moments of just things lighting up like the carousel. It was very nice. It was very well done. It was very pretty. It was very cinematic.
They also use the lightning very well to transition scenes. In that final punch out between Executioner and Brawler, before they make full impact, you have this incredibly bright close up of their faces about to smash together, which is the flash of lightning, and then with the thunder roar, the scene transitions to Pupil silhouetted by the lightning, standing on the bridge in the rain, seeing what happened. It's beautiful. Say it with me now. Incredible.
We also learn a bit more about the executioner hierarchy with the main executioner had a mistress. She created two-person teams because it lowered casualty ratings.
Exactly, because she even says it. Executioners are no different than Akudama. Deep down, the only difference is I gave them something to fight for, each other, and through that dialogue and that exposition and that explanation, we are so Hoodlums and Brawler's relationship is displayed and solidified in that short time. Because I did not expect their relationship to. You guys know me. I have not been the biggest fan of Hoodlum. I just thought he was the sweet talker. But they ended up forming this real relationship, this real bromance. We joked about it, but they were bros. They were anikis, and
I wasn't joking.
I apologize if I'm talking too much. This is the second to last show we talk about in our program on our talk show, and I have been waiting this whole time to talk about it. The thing I thought you were going to bring up before, Gilly, with the rain, it started raining when they were fighting on the roller coaster, and I thought they were going to slip and fall, for real, because I myself became scared of being up there. But the thing and it looks beautiful, the rain started falling, and you can see the water start running down the railroad tracks and little streams. Beautiful. the rain itself, the way it plays with the lighting, beautiful. The thing, and maybe other shows have done this and I haven't seen it. Pupil arrives at the scene, as I expressed earlier, and normally we're trying to avoid talking about the episode in great detail because you guys should go out and watch the episodes too, become part of the conversation, join us, engage us in each other in the comments and in chat. But I can't help talk about this in detail. Pupil finds her master's body bleeding out in a pool of blood that is now diluting into the water, the streams of rain from the heavy rain running down the bridge. And if you've ever seen blood in water, it dilutes really quickly and creates this cloud and red water. And she collapses underneath him. And when he dies, he gives her his blade as like the final literal passing the mantle, and his hand falls limp. And she doesn't cry, but because she's slouched over him on her knees, the rain starts pouring down her hair and her face, and it pools in her eyes, creating huge teardrops. It's whoever directed this, the animation, and whoever did the animation for that scene, I tip my proverbial, I don't tip it, I bow my proverbial hat to you, because that made me cry. It was so stunning to see the water run down, not choppy, the animation was incredibly fluid, run down her hair to her face to her eyeball, pool on her eye, and then turn into tears. And then Hoodlum stands up, and there's that whole Jedi scene I was talking about. I can't, guys. I fucking can't. Can we marry a show now? Because I really fucking want to.
No. Because it might drop the ball later on.
Don't say that, Meep.
Listen, it's a possibility for all of them. Jujutsu, Adachi, Yukoku, it's a possibility for all of them. You have to give each show its fair due.
I'm shaking right now.
Now, I feel like we're ready to hold up cards. Am I reading that right?
Since I've been talking, Gilly, is there anything you want to say before I hold up a card?
No, all I'm gonna say is what I put in general here. Brawler and Hoodlum are the best bromance.
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
The evolution of their relationship went from this joking, fun thing between two people to wow, they sincerely care deeply about each other, and now my heart hurts.
Let me remind you, 2 episodes ago, Hoodlum was ready to toss Brawler under the proverbial train and switch to Cutthroat. But, man. In case I don't even need to say it. This is incredibly obvious because the show's incredible. This episode's incredible. I am giving this an incredible fuck. Fuck the eggplant. This gets my full loving erection. I was left with so many emotions, barely any words when I watched the episode, and I'm still left with plenty of emotions, but as evident, I have plenty of words now. Apologies if I rambled on too much this episode. I didn't mean to take the mic away from anyone. It's just I needed to vent because I was saving all my thoughts for this episode today, and I'm still overwhelmed. The animation, the combat. Go on.
No, sorry. I thought I was. It's fine. You go.
Okay, just to finish my thoughts on this show. The fight was incredible. It's right back at episode 2, and while it wasn't as visually stunning, it was almost the entire episode as well, like in Jujutsu Kaisen. And the choreography, the animation, the action, the close-ups, the impacts, it all felt and looked amazing. If I could make any critique, is that when they fall into the casino or arcade in the abandoned building, when Brawler hits the floor and everything turns on, I leaned forward in my seat. I got up from my seat and I was like, yes, let me get that episode 2 lighting and atmosphere. But unfortunately that was cut a little short. But I'm not mad. Everything was fucking incredible. Yeah. This show knows how to use not only its characters to the max, but its setting as well. The oppressive atmosphere, the lighting, the voice performances, every character playing a crucial role. I mean, gods damn. I'm done. I've said it all. Fuck, 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 fuck. Thoroughly thrusting multiple hours, like into the morning session. I think I'm in love.
Now, Pupil is a bit down on her luck. I bring her flowers every now and then, but she's not ready to get back to our hourly, you know. I'm still bringing her flowers. These bastardous Akudama hurt her, and I'm going to take up the mantle of an executioner to go hunt them down. I'm giving the show a fuck too.
I'm gonna fuck this show. I'm just gonna. Uh, I'm just gonna give Hoodlum the friend he needs. It's okay, buddy.
It's okay. He'll show up episode 11 when everything's coming to a head. It'll be fine.
The ghost of Brawler hovers over him like a force ghost.
Oh yeah, this is the best brawler we've seen, and we've seen some really good brawler.
Yeah, he went out with a bang, and I kind of hope he isn't. This is gonna sound weird. He's my favorite character, but I feel like it'd be more impactful if he stayed, dead.
I respect. Yeah, I agree. I expect this show, with no doubts, to stick to the characters, and if they bring Brawler back, I'm not even afraid of it because I really don't think they will stoop to that gimmick. The show just doesn't seem it. The only thing that I'm scared for in this show is that they flub the ending, because I've had shows that I loved and just fucking fell flat when it came to endings. It's hard to end a series. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I got so excited I knocked over a whole cup of tea, so I'm doing that right now.
Well, with that is Akudama Drive, episode 6. And now, our final show of the week, Kuma 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 Bear, episode 6. Yuna, Shuri, and Fina go out to find a snowflower, then make pudding. That's literally all that happens. I spent 24 minutes of my life watching this.
I loved it. It was nice. It was sweet. It bring me warmth to my heart.
How about you,
Why
Mia?
is it silent?
I'll never understand you people.
I'm wiping up tea, so I'll be a minute. But yeah,
What do you mean by you people, Meep?
I can't fathom enjoying Kuma 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 Bear but not enjoying Majou no Tabi Tabi. It's just an alien concept to me.
I think he meant Moe Kumas, Gilly. I think Meep is against the Moe and the Kumas. Also, they
Wow.
straight up start
No,
calling
yeah,
each other Kumas.
I like Majou no Tabi Tabi. I'm not against Moe.
Is Tabi Tabi Moe?
It is, but Kuma 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 Bear is just nothing happened this episode. Absolutely nothing happened.
That
It's
was
not
the
true.
beauty of it.
It's not true.
No,
Mama,
that's not beautiful. That's boring.
Mama and Daddy Gens got hitched and then had a fight about cholesterol. That's relatable. That's relatable.
And why am I supposed to care? I already want Shuri and Fina's mom to be in the ground. I don't care.
He puts too much ketchup on his eggs and uses too much butter on his toast. It's not good for his heart.
And she used
That's
fucking
not
honey
funny.
on her food, and that's fucking expensive.
That's not funny. I don't.
Okay.
Also, is their dad dead or?
Yeah, he's dead.
Okay. For the
Also,
longest time, I thought. For the longest time, I thought that he was still alive, and they just broke up or something.
like, uh, I'm gonna say, like, speaking of the dad, full disclosure, this is the weakest episode for me thus far. That's not me saying which way I'm voting. I'm just acknowledging that I found this to be the weakest episode. But they are cucking. They are cucking their dead dad, so fucking bad.
And you know what? He probably deserves it.
He's
Everyone
like,
in the show deserves something bad to happen to them.
I normally don't make this joke, but they were just like, yeah, Roy's dead, but if he's looking down on us, he probably wants me to fuck your mom. And I'm like, what is happening?
You have to wonder the dynamic of, oh, Uncle Getz is marrying Mama's like, well, now he's stepdad against.
But like in the same breath that they were talking about how they missed their father, they're like, Daddy Gens, and I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Cucked from beyond the grave.
The actual part of this episode where they tried to do the really weird story with their relationship was definitely not what I enjoyed in this episode.
It
I
wasn't
just
good.
enjoyed the sweetness between Yuna and Fina and Fina's little sister
Shuri.
whose name I don't remember.
Shuri.
Yeah,
That thing. Also,
that one.
they were like, oh, Yuna was like, oh, Shuri's so brave, and I'm just sitting here, I'm like, brave or stupid? She pokes a wasp nest, she just starts jumping around a fucking rickety bridge, and the whole time my inner parent's like, what are you doing?
What do you mean? Shuri was the one being responsible on the bridge. That was Fina that was doing. No, that was one of the fucking bears that started doing dumb shit on it.
That's true. It was my favorite bear, the black bear, Kuma Q.
He gets all he falls through, and the other one's just embarrassed, and then it jumps up from the water with a fucking fish in its mouth.
Yeah, it like caught a trout.
The only thing that brought me close to feeling something was when the bear just slapped the snake out of the way.
Yeah. just yeeted the snake like one Kuma punch again.
But the thing is when there's actually things happening, I can get like, oh, well, it's not supposed to be taken seriously. It's, it's a soft thing. You know what? That's fine. You enjoyed the egg plot line. I didn't mind. You enjoyed episode 2, episode 3. I didn't mind. This I am actively upset because nothing fucking happened.
They found a pretty blue feather.
And
They made pudding.
And
To be
that's
fair,
not plot. That's filler.
That's not. This show doesn't. There's no plot here. I don't need a plot here. You don't sit here for drama. You sit here for cuteness.
I watched this to feel good.
Yeah.
There's nothing to sink my teeth into. There's nothing here to make me feel anything.
Well, Meep, while pudding isn't really something you can sink your teeth into, it's very sweet and enjoyable.
That's not
Depends on the pudding.
You know it. Just
I thought the pudding was really cute, and Shuri and her sister dynamic is really cute and enjoyable. And they had the opportunity to do fan service with Yuna in the bath, and they didn't take it. And I respect it. I appreciate it.
This show not being fruit part isn't a praise. To praise the show for.
Talking about not showing the fan service in the tub, that's another thing we'll get to later.
Oh no.
You're both going to hurt a lot. Everyone's going to hurt.
You included?
We'll get there.
Okay.
You sound so dead. I don't know if you're talking about fruit. I don't know if you're talking about Fruit Tartar King's Raid. At least
That's
Yes.
the best part.
of age. At least the King's Raid characters are of age, and I'd like to see Freya's butt.
But yeah, in this episode of Kuma,
It was a very uneventful episode. There was literally nothing that happened, but it made me feel good. It made
same.
me it gave me good happy feelings, and I I loved two things. One, does Yuna just know how to make basically anything out of eggs?
Egg.
And two, I like that she made a bunch of pudding and just went around and gave it to everybody she knows.
That was cute. Yeah, it was. That's exactly the show. That's exactly the show. We do a nice thing and then we share it with everyone. Also, what was that?
That's not entertaining. The show is entertaining. This episode wasn't entertaining.
Because you want conflict.
It's like getting slowly. It's like getting your urethra pierced.
I don't know how you eat pudding, Meep, but I think you're doing it wrong.
It's not about the pudding, Dalaran. It's never been about the pudding.
Egg.
It's not about the eggs either. The eggs can go suck a dick.
Usually you suck an egg, but yeah.
This show is just nothing. It's a blog. And I feel nothing except rage and pain. My mind goes red, and I can just think of different ways of ending this show.
Like you're hurting watching this as much as I am watching Adachi Tashimamura.
Yes, and you're viciously trying to kill that one too. We're both just trying to appeal to Dalaran.
I'm just here having a good time.
Dalaran is the deciding vote on many things.
Egg.
You were the deciding vote on Majino Tabi Tabi today.
Egg. To answer your question from earlier, Meep, why I enjoy this but not Majuna Tabi Tabi, I expect Majuna Tabi Tabi. Huh?
That wasn't a question. That was a statement.
In response to your statement. In response to your statement, I expect more out of Majuna. I expect Majuna Tabi Tabi to be better. This, I know what I'm in for.
How does that excuse
This
this
we
show?
expect nothing.
How does that excuse this show for being bad, Dalaran? That's my question.
I wouldn't call it bad. I just judge things on its own merits, not on the merits of other things.
That is a matter of perspective, and I enjoy this.
Also, A, egg. B, Yuna straight up has electrical appliances. She has an electric stove, an electric oven, and a fucking hairdryer. What?
He's crafted them from Kuma powers, Dalaran.
What?
This show doesn't have consistent rules of how things function. Yuna's changed characters 7 different times. She's never consistent with her character.
She had character growth last episode.
Yeah, but I don't trust it to be consistent because each episode it's almost like she's a different person.
I don't know if I go that far. I'm
She
usually
has
critical.
severely different moods depending on who she's dealing with.
Yeah, there's a difference between having like a variation to your personality and then just being different characters. That's a conversation that should be more prevalent in D&D, where it's like complicated and multifaceted characters with range are not the same as Mary Sue's and someone who wants to be everything and all the time. I still can't tell which one Yuna is, though.
Who knows? Egg.
Egg. Speaking of Yuna, though, something was brought up in this episode that I didn't even think about and is never brought up. Yuna's parents and her insistence to not talk about them. I mean, I get it. She's in the isekai. They don't really matter anymore, so I guess it doesn't matter. But maybe it was because I was coming off of Adachi to Shimamura. I kind of wanted to delve deeper into Yuna's home life. but I also acknowledge that that's completely unnecessary in the show.
Do not think hard. It is show. It have egg.
Egg. This show's gonna make me fucking get an egg emote for my Twitch stream. For my Twitch on my Twitch account.
It killed Dalaran. The egg. I mean, not Dalaran. The egg killed me.
Come to Twitch
The music
forward
in the
slash
show is
Dalaran
also
Quest.
obnoxious, and I hate it.
Subscribe for egg emote.
I don't know. This every time I watch this show, if I didn't, the thing is, if I didn't watch it as late as I did, I'd go and make an egg sandwich after I watch it because it makes me want eggs.
This show, its music is obnoxious and makes me hate it.
I like the ending.
Well, I hate the opening and ending, but I'm talking about just its in show soundtrack.
I don't really pay attention to it.
Fucking shoot it! I'm gonna old yeller it. Whoever made that music should feel bad and is bad.
I think it's meant to give that campy, like, not carnival, but like kawaii chibi marching band vibe because it is about.
Why does it have to blare at 100% 3 times the volume of the characters?
I just think I didn't pick that up, man.
It's so much louder than the actual characters.
Meep is just like, this show irritates me, and so does everything else about it.
It just makes me think of different ways I can walk into the wilderness and never come back.
Speaking of wilderness,
hold up cards so you can hurt me and we can get it over with.
Yeah, let's see what we find in the forest or up on the. They called it a glasses mountain or like rock formation. It straight up looked like a unicorn.
It did.
I am going to go into the show. I'm gonna get isekai'd. I'm gonna go with nuclear weaponry blueprints. I'm gonna show the king. I'm gonna make a deal that he can keep it, but as long as I can fire the first one, I'm just gonna aim it right at that city they're in. I'm gonna fucking turn it into glass.
Tactical nuke incoming.
And forevermore, they will be glass for me to marvel at.
Ah, so you do want to marvel at the Kuma Bears.
No, I want to marvel at the death and harm I caused.
We joke, but nuclear weapons are never the answer.
Yeah, I'm just saying this because I hate this show.
I mean, I said what I need. Like, I've said it all about this show. I'm going to fuck this show. I'm fucking this episode. This continues to be the dose of like adorable sweetness that I need each week. It is the breath of it is the cotton candy between meals. It is the breath of levity that I need from like experiencing Akudama Drive or Jujutsu Kaisen or this week's episode of Ikebukuro Westgate Park. Like I had many smiles, I had some chuckles. It's cute, it's simple, but I also know the show can delve into deeper and sometimes darker subject every once in a while, and that keeps me intrigued to see where it's going. That being said,
but when Tabi delves into darker shit, it's apparently a problem. I see.
Yeah, because for some reason Tabi that is supposed to be a much more better written show than fucking Kuma Bear doesn't handle its dark matter nearly as good as Kuma Bear does. Which
I thought it handled its dark matter fine.
I know. In Kuma Bear, it at least gives time for things to have impact. Or if they go for shock factor, they then give time for it to set in. In Tabi is just edge. Just sad, miserable edge. And at least in Kuma Bear, there's levity to kind of like wash down the bitter, sour, dark matters that happened.
But not every serious scene has to be undercut with a joke. That's
Sure.
the point of there being drama. There doesn't have to be comedy to undercut it.
Sure. I agree with that.
Just because a character death doesn't get undercut with a joke doesn't make it bad. You're not saying they're saying Brawler's death is bad.
It's not, and there was no comedy after that. After we got to the final third of that episode in Akudama Drive, but Akudama Drive does its drama and dark topics better than Majou no Tabi Tabi.
Yes, there's no question it does. But I'm just saying that I think Tabi Tabi handles it well, if not okay.
And I guess this is just somewhere we disagree. And Tabi Tabi is just in your face about it with no it's just there. It just feels like it's there for the sake of being there. It had no purpose except for being fucking miserable. It didn't add to anything.
I could say that about the depths that Moriarty delves. That can be said about any show. Is a show is there for the sake of being there. It's there for entertainment.
Speaking of Moriarty, I can't wait for this Noble to get us to Kurt Cobain himself. Anyway, I made myself sad because I like Nirvana. As for this show, I will admit that I am holding up a fuck card, but this is the weakest episode thus far, only because I agree with Meep. Really, not a lot happened, and if it didn't cheer me up the way it did, and kind of up, like, the Kumas uplifted my mood. If I didn't feel that nice afterwards, this might have been a knife. But I too need something. We have an after credit scene with or pre-credit ending scene with Yuna, the Lord, and the adorable princess daughter, and the next episode is going to be them two, and let's see how engaged I stay with that one. But yeah, Gilly, take it away.
Well, as Meep continues to lament the fact that this show only ended up on here by pure happenstance and, for him, bad luck, I continue to feel the warmth that this show brings me and prevents me from wanting to just stop watching shows after Adachi. So I'm obviously going to fuck it. It keeps me warm. It helps me feel happy.
I just realized something that I wanted to bring up. We almost didn't have Akudama Drive on this list. The only reason it got on is because Fumetsu no Anata E got pushed to winter, and now it's even pushed to fall.
Oh my god, really? You mean spring?
Or spring, yeah, sorry.
Oh my god, you're right though. That was the last minute entry edition, right?
Yeah.
Huh. I'm gonna say this. I'm thankful that show got pushed for two reasons. One, because it allowed us to have Akudama Drive. And this is a very strong year for anime. We had BNA, we had The Great Pretender, and there's a lot of good anime that came out this year. Two is because video game companies, producers, developers, animation studios, anime groups, companies, studios, they, especially due to COVID, need time to make the product we want and the quality that we deserve. So I don't get upset by pushes and delays.
Didn't the God of High School adapt over 134 chapters?
Ooh.
Its first season? Because they cut out all the plot. The whole anime was just the fights, I'm pretty sure.
You may be right.
I don't know. But with that, regretfully so, Majou no Tabi Tabi dies.
I am not happy about that.
Oh, don't worry. I'll kill something you love next.
I mean, all that's left is things that I enjoy.
It's all been things that me and Gilly love that have died.
Not really. I hated Kingsray.
I just need one more thing, and I'll be happy.
I hated King's
Adachi's
Raid.
living until the end. Okay, I think it's safe to say, at least for me, I'm not going to speak for Dalibron, but at least for me, I've gotten far enough into Adachi Toshimura that I'm going to see it through no matter what. I've spent too much time on this to kill it.
Oh, 100%.
Like Tabi Tabi, like you can jump off of that at any point. There's no real plot, but
Yeah. That's the thing about Kuma Bear too, that I can see myself falling off at any time because there's no investment in the show for me. It's just I come there for a good time and that's it. I guess since to use the FMK analogy, I come in there for a good time with no commitment. We see each other, we dance in bed, and I walk away feeling better and they continue enjoying and having fun in their life. Like
As long as I have to suffer, I will watch Kuma Bear to feel better.
I'm sad that Tabi Tabi is dead. It almost doesn't feel real because I've been on this fucking fence with Tabi Tabi for the majority of its runtime, and I'm just like, what? It's to me, it's like it doesn't feel real. It feels like I still need to go watch another episode, and who knows? Maybe I'll enjoy it, but I think I probably won't.
I'm going to.
Can we just?
Honestly, out of everything that's died, the only one I'm not touching is Zerst.
I actually watched the not I didn't. This week has been busy for me, so I will have one episode to talk about Zerst, the one immediately after the one we watched. I think episode 4.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
Gilly's going to continue watching Tabi Tabi, King's Raid, and Ochigabure, then we're just gonna have the after show with Gilly. Here's Gilly with the Graveyard Review.
Look, the only one I will bother going into detail in is King's Raid. The others I will be very
Why
meh.
that one?
Which, speaking of,
Wait, can I speak about Noblesse episode
Go-
6?
go ahead.
Well, I watched Noblesse episode 6, and I can only say this: it starts at episode 90 of the web, or not episode. It starts at chapter 90 of the web manga after after the main character awakens, and it goes into modern day. And I realized that we're at a part of the web manga where there's an insane, like the main characters are insanely overpowered, and it's super shonen overpowered shit. Like the main enemy of this arc was defeated by the main character in a minute. And I'm kind of falling off of it. I enjoy the slice of life aspect of this anime a lot more than the fights. While the fights were beautiful and great, it just when the overpowered aspect of it came in, I lost interest in the fighting, and I still like some of these characters and everything. I feel bad that I'm kind of falling off of it, but all I can say is, what the fuck is this anime? They're insanely strong, and I know it's gonna get to a point where it levels off again, but at this point, it's not entertaining to watch the fights because they're just stomp fest.
That's disappointing to hear. For a week, they gave us a lot of good fights, particularly Jujutsu Kaisen and Kuma Bear. Oh, I'm sorry, Akudama Drive.
The good fights. Oh yeah, the fight this week.
You know, Bear
No,
versus Bridge.
between Getz and Mama with health concerns.
and
Epic
Bear
fight.
versus Snake.
Gilly,
No,
talk
so-
about King's Raid.
Akuma Drive.
Oh boy.
But yeah,
King's
no,
Raid
that is upsetting to hear, Meep.
episode.
Hold on, before we
7.
jump into King's Raid, Meep, is there anything else you want to drop about Noblesse, or is that pretty much it?
Like, if we were still watching, I'm still gonna fuck this episode. It's just the show has kind of turned out a bit disappointing for me.
So
You just don't
what you're
want me to
saying?
talk about King's Raid.
So yeah, of course, we're stalling as long as we could. So what you're saying, Meep, is that what you're saying, Meep, is that you are falling off of Noblesse the way I'm falling off Kuma 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 Bear.
Not as much. Like, I'm definitely not going to give it the knife anytime soon, just because I like these characters enough to keep watching, even if I do have to turn off my brain when fights happen.
Damn it. Gilly, I really wanted him to say yes defeatedly.
It hasn't dropped the ball that hard.
Alright. Well, on today's episode of The Graveyard Review, Gilly.
Yes. On this week's episode of Ochikabori Fruit Tart, episode 5.
You know what? Fuck it. Start
No.
with that. No, go ahead. Start with Ochikabure. Fuck
Do
it.
you want me to start with Fruit Tart?
Sure.
Um,
I assume this is where the fucking bath scene you were talking about comes in.
episode 5 of Fruit Tart this week heavily involves the biggest fan of Fruit Tart, Tone, who, as just seemed like a mega fan before, now is stalking Ino along with Himo.
God
Yes, they're both doing it
fucking...
now.
The one thing... Sorry, are you done?
I'm gonna say a little bit more. They both are now following her. As we walk through the episode, it starts off with just putting us through their daily life, which is extremely boring and nothing really happens. We find that the newest edition, Himo, makes breakfast for everybody, but they ask, why do you give Ino her breakfast last? Is there some kind of special ingredient? We have this very creepy black backdrop, a silhouette of her, and nothing but the eyes glowing a brighter pink than usual. And she says it's love, but it gives off that feeling of, do you know that scene from that one anime where I've mixed my love juices into it? It gives off that sensation.
Yep, that's what I was thinking the moment you said it.
It continues with the stalking until they all decide to go to a karaoke bar and sing together, which the one person singing is none of the idols but the superfan, which is kind of weird and upsetting in its own right.
Before I rage, tell me, was the music good in the end?
You got really quiet, Delron.
Before I fracking rage, tell me, was the music at least good at the end?
The singing was good. They didn't really have much music going on other than the singing.
Fuck this show. Fuck this show. They took the one thing I liked about the last episode I watched, which was Tone, and they fucking ruined her too. We should have pulled out of this phrasing. We should have pulled out of this show on episode 3. No, episode 2.
If it had somehow survived last week, this would have killed it. We would have talked about it for all of maybe 5 minutes and then held up cards for a unanimous kill. Because this was it was awful, and I didn't even say the worst part, because the worst part happens at the very end with Himo walking throughout the house.
Oh, cool! It gets worse.
And she's just looking around like this was Ino's hairbrush. This was the bath that she laid in. She didn't draw a new bath. She got in Ino's dirty bath water. Yes. And then she had to stop herself from smelling Ino's stockings.
This show can fuck right off.
It got this was a degree that was so painfully significantly worse than previous that it was just I went through it, and I don't think I can force myself to watch another episode.
Cool. Ochikabore is dead, both in life and in hell.
It took everything. It took the little bad things and did nothing but that, and cranked it. It's not even crank it to 11. It cranked it to 100.
Frack this show. This show can fuck right off.
I'm just happy I didn't.
Meep's hearing it, and he's just dead.
I'm just happy I didn't have to watch that episode.
You and me
Yeah,
both.
it was
Me-
really, really, really bad. The only good part in the episode was they ran out of strawberries to wake up Rocker Girl, so they used a fucking chili pepper. That was
Okay,
the one enjoyable thing.
I hate to say this, but I want to hear how this went.
Oh, she was crying. Meep would have enjoyed that. She was crying and she was really upset because the pepper was burning the crap out of her mouth.
Oh, poor not Saki-chan. Chan.
Poor trying to bribe me by wearing a Canadian shirt, girl. By the way, did they ever explain that? Why she fucking wears a Canada shirt?
Pretty sure it's just style. It's
Because
red,
Canada's cool.
white.
I
Just fits her colors and the style's good for her.
well,
That's
was
fruit tart. That's all
King's
I have to
Raid
say
just as
about that.
bad? Do we at least get to see Freya?
Do we
Uh,
see what?
Is
King's
King's
Raid.
Raid bad? Do we
So
get to see
moving past that, King's Raid episode 7. Do you like dark elves?
Yes.
Chat is
That
blowing
was the
up right
entire
now.
episode. No, nothing else. It was nothing but dark elves. We didn't even see the main crew. This was an entire episode dedicated to story and backstory for the dark elves and our two main dark elves, the brother and sister.
Reheat
It
and
was
whatever the fuck's her face.
Yep, it was 100% dedicated to them. There was nothing else. It had a small little fight scene with them with a few demons. Nothing special, nothing great. It was a lot of expository information, and we met the princess of the kingdom, who was also who was also captain of like the royal guard kind of thing going on. Very common trope. She meets with our main dark elf man, and she just respects him as a warrior, which seems to. He's still pretty emotionless, though it seems to spark something with him.
Respects or disrespects?
She respects him for as a warrior and doesn't really care that he's a dark elf.
Nice.
And she doesn't care that he doesn't like treat her like a princess.
Are they gonna
Her
fuck?
advisor does, but she doesn't.
Was she the girl we saw in episode 1?
We we have seen her before, but this is the first time she's done anything. She wears I hate saying it, but she wears titty armor.
Oh.
Post picture, please.
Actually, I'd have to find it. I didn't take a screenshot of that.
You realize you're asking for lewds from King's Raid? Have some pride, man.
Listen,
This we were,
fucking Freya is hot. I will listen. It has good titty in it.
King's Raid
It's
has
just the titty doesn't have
the King's Raid was starting to follow a point, and now we're back to a lot of expository information, but this time it's all dark elves. Uh, only thing, the one like flashback we got was what we saw is our two main dark elves, the brother and sister. Their mom was not just killed in front of them, but she was cut down, and then the soldier that killed her drove his sword through her head in front of them as they hid under the bed.
What the fuck?
It got dark. It didn't show it, but you saw exactly what was happening. Like you
Through
saw
what,
it from
like
an angle,
shadows?
like you saw him. You didn't see the body, but you knew exactly where he was positioned from the scene just prior. It got very. It was very graphic without actually having to show anything detailed, which I thought was very well done. It also involved near the very end of it, the princess brings Riet in to a meeting among important generals, and oh yeah, Klaus is there in his full-on like paladin-like armor. He's healed now. Um, they bring him in. This one noble is complaining about how dark elves shouldn't be involved. They shouldn't have that kind of power. They shouldn't help.
Which one's
Princess
complaining?
basically, it's just some random noble.
Was it Benjamin Franklin or Thomas Jefferson?
No, he looks very young.
Okay.
Young blonde guy. Basically, the princess just tells him, shut up. He's a good warrior. He's allowed here. Anyone else have complaints? And they all just said, we have no problem. I glazed over one thing that I actually forgot about for a second. Now it's back. One of the Dark Elves gets ambushed in the streets and beat up by a bunch of hoodlums.
Which one?
The really young-looking one, the one with the bandana?
Yeah.
The one that looks like he's younger than everyone else. He gets beat up, and as we find out after the scene of the meeting, that noble that was pissed was the one that paid people to go beat him up. The Dark Elves confront him, but luckily they didn't kill him. They just, threatened him with a knife to his throat. There was a lot going on with this episode, and it was all Dark Elves, nothing else.
Is there, though? Is there? Because they're still dumping exposition on you.
Yeah, at least this time it's not exposition of the main group, it's exposition of a group we know fuck all about.
Okay.
They're filling us in on the gaps that, we had nothing to fill in other than, people are racist against Dark Elves.
You're going to continue watching the show, aren't you?
It still has not done anything egregious to make me stop watching, but it is doing the exposition again, which is, once again, kind of boring, but not bad. There wasn't much I could actually try and play up with this one. It was all mostly exposition.
At least they finally are doing something with the Dark Elves. That was the one thing I was really interested in. And I'm almost curious to hear their backstory, but I don't know, it just...
Oh, I'm sure it'll, I'm sure... Isn't there somebody that watches this that really likes the Dark Elves?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember who it is, but I know somebody.
I'm sure they're popping off in chat right now.
What is it? There's one other... Oh, I completely forgot one of the biggest points. Oh yeah, the Shadow King has been now predicted to be coming back, and they don't have the sword or the king.
You realize
they literally brought it up and then just sort of yeah, that's happening. Oh hey, look, it's the Dark Elf guy. I respect you as a warrior. They glazed over a major point.
You realize you're not doing the show. You're not doing the show credit if you're trying to, right?
I'm not trying to do it credit. I'm watching it, and I'm gonna say what happened.
What's the rogue's name again?
Roy, I think.
Roy, yeah.
What about the episode where Castle is gonna walk in on Freya and Roy having sex? Will that finally make you stop watching the show?
I don't think that would happen. It would be Roy and the mage girl.
I got connections. I can make it happen. So if
it's Roy and the mage girl. Freya's just there for the stamina up.
Oh. It's not giving it to Roy, it's giving it to her.
Anyway. Kingsraid still sounds like a fucking jumbled fucking mess.
Thank you all for coming.
Wait. Meep, my good sir. I have an episode of Magetsu Warhide Zurst I can talk about.
Oh, you watched that?
Yes, while I'm not fully caught up, this week was a little bit more busy than I expected, hence the barren streaming schedule at the moment. I did get to sneak one episode in today. Believe it was episode 4. And I have to say, I'm still intrigued. They send, I think his name is Hanneman, Lieutenant Hanneman. So on this episode, we got finally an explanation. I can't say that. In this episode, we finally got information regarding what the white-haired, dark-skinned girl's goal is. It is investigating the embezzlement of money, specifically why money from the smuggling operation is going back into the diet. And through our contacts, we find out that the money is going to basically the CDC of the empire, and it's the Disease Research Center. And upon infiltrating it, we find out that there are experiments occurring of cold fire on the human body and how it can prevent the spread of the disease, luminosity, I think it was called, that the little girl had in episode 3? Or was that episode 2? I have my episode numbers mixed up. But continuing on with that, obviously they're turning into fucking monsters because in this research facility that is supposed to be shut down years ago but has all female scientists in it for some fucking reason. There's just
battles?
Huh?
Do they do rap battles?
I wish I would have preferred Hyper Mike over fucking Ochikabure fruit tart.
You were so hopeful for that, and look what it turned into.
Hey man, both of the things.
You wanted to lock it. That was almost your lock, Dalaron. Let that sink in.
Ochikabure fruit tart? Absolutely fucking not. I was considering it because I want music, but there were plenty of shows that I was tied on. I was tied on Ikebukuro, Majou no Tabi Tabi, and Akudama Drive.
Sports Climb Girls.
Sports Clan.
I actually do want to watch an episode of that.
Yeah, me too. We should do a watch party sometime this week and check out an episode, that like 1 or 2 episodes of that. But yeah, basically, so we find out more thing, and the lab has giant monsters, the same ones we saw in the previous episode in vats, at least heavily implied. And then she has this magical device, this ring that is basically like detect magic, so she tries to dispel one trap spell on the safe that she cracks, only to find out that there was another trap spell put on it, which didn't really make sense to me, but she steals the ledger, tries to research it, finds out that the money is indeed being funneled back into the Empire, which makes no sense to her, discovers some opaque body in a tube, to which she is horrified in her realization, and then gets tased and knocked out by a shadowy person that we only see smirk menacingly. Meanwhile,
Activated my trap card.
I'm calling it now. It's the lieutenant.
It's not the lieutenant. But speaking of the lieutenant, whose name I'm going to try to find right now,
Lieutenant Fuckface?
Lieutenant Fuckface indeed. We actually see his backstory in this episode. I clicked on the wrong show. There it is.
I picked you.
I'm like, this is a lot more moe girls than I remember being in this show. Oh, that's why. Damn, he's actually not billed on Anime List. So, regardless, we're just gonna call him... Also, they call him Lieutenant, but when he arrives back at the capital, it's revealed that he's a commander. He's a commander of that specific region. Regardless, we dive into his backstory. We find out that he is the bastard son of a local noble, and his mother was a maid, and that he had a very close relationship between the noble's daughter, not like sexual, just they were like close and friends because she was nice to him and he was nice to her, and he took punishments for her. And then her cat broke a bottle of expensive wine, and the noble beat the shit out of him because he took the blame for it, saying that that wine was worth more than his life that he will ever make in his life. He bit the shit out of his of young lieutenant commander, and then raped his mom again before killing her and throwing her into the river, which broke him. He became a soldier, went to war with the noble's actual son, his accepted son, stabbed him through the stomach upwards in the middle of battle, and then proceeded to become a serial killer while incriminating his noble bastard father in the crimes. And now he wants to kill Emmanuel for the same reason. because he wants to see him break, because while all of this is happening, Emmanuel's sister is being picked up by our protagonist, Kun, and Blonde Boy, who I really enjoy, actually. Like, they have a really good dynamic, and they're talking about it, and Leo Kato is like, hey, like, she's just a girl, like, she's just a sister, go easy on her, and he, like, looks him dead in the eye after being like, he even makes a joke, it's like, yeah, hi, I know, thanks for reminding me, Mom, and then gets really serious and like, but seriously, dude, same goes for you. Like, she killed your brother. Like, her brother killed your brother, so keep your head. And it was this really cute scene where she, like, broke down crying because she doesn't believe that her brother is capable of doing this. But Leo understood why Emmanuel cares about his sister, and his sister understood why Leo Kato cared about his dead brother, and she went without a fight. Long story short, this show continues doing a lot in the same episode. The smugglers were there, but it's revealed that Red Hair Girl is a noble. She's a daughter of a noble, and no one knows that she's part of the smugglers. There still continues to be a lot, but somehow I'm still enjoying it.
Okay. Understandable.
Sorry if that was just a massive info dump. I just started talking and I couldn't stop.
It's okay. But with that, is there any last words anyone has before we end off tonight?
I love that no one has a comment on Magetsu or Hide Searched. You're both like, yep.
There's nothing much to comment on. It's not like I killed it with avarice. It just bored me. Unlike Fruit Tart and King's Raid, where I actively hated every moment watching it.
There is, when it comes to Warhide Zeus, it's uninterest. When it comes to Fruit Tart and King's Raid, it's pain.
Rage, fucking rage.
But with that, I believe I am ready to sign off for tonight because I have a couple things I have to do today. But
I have to get dinner, so I'm ready to sign off.
yes, I have been Meep, also known as Soul King 777. I've been joined by my co-hosts Gilly and Dalaran. I would like to thank everyone for coming here tonight.
Yeah, that includes the two of you as well as everyone who's watching along with us. This was an interesting week for me. There were some shows that were underwhelming that have fallen from the excitement that I used to have for them. And there are shows that have just blown me the fuck away. But yeah, we thank you for coming. And as always, you guys can catch us streaming this live at twitch.tv/Dalaron Quest, DALARON Quest. And honestly, this is a great season of anime. I'm having a blast. Gilly, thanks for being here. Meep, thanks for putting this together. Team 4-Star, thanks for giving us the A-OK on this. And I'm really looking forward to next week's session, Gal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you all for joining me as well, and I will catch you all next time.
I've been Gilly. Tune in next week for Gilly's Graveyard Tour.
And this
the
is
Crypt Keeper.
Gilly's just like, and this is the corpse that I fucked most enthusiastically this week.
Gilly's heart-pounding grave-digging tour.
Gilly's graveyard pounding tour.
That's not what I said.
Bye, everybody.
But I mean, bye.
Bye-bye.